dark side and the light side, but here we light on the nerd side. Welcome to Between Nerds, everybody. I'm here with my co-host, Drew Elias. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Welcome back, everybody, to episode... I don't even know what episode...
65.
65? I was going to say 63.
No, sir.
Welcome to episode 65 of Between Nerds podcast. And did we introduce our names? I'm Drew Elias. This is Aldo Mendez.
Yes, I am Aldo Mendez. Last time I checked.
We're Between Nerds. We're here for a very special day. We're here for a special episode that's kind of tied to our last episode.
Ironically,
and we didn't even plan it that way. It would just kind of happen. Like, we were excited about Star Wars Visions. We didn't exactly plan out when it was going to come out. You were excited about the most recent Matrix trilogy, so last week we watched The Animatrix. This week we're discussing Star Wars Visions. But before we get into the discussion, I do want to remind everybody to please use hashtag #TitsForNerds. That's TITSFORNERDS in an original tweet or Instagram post to be entered into our October giveaway. For every like and retweet on Twitter or Instagram, we will be donating to the Rio Grande Cancer Association. So,
in honor of, breast cancer awareness month. Mm-hmm. October, spooky month. Last spooky month. God damn, we've been doing this for a while now. Last October, we did fucking weird ass Parasite, Berserk.
We did what we thought were horror anime at the time.
Yeah, and even if I had the. If we would have known, Made of the Abyss would have been perfect for that month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways, we are sitting here in one of our best segues to connecting Japanese pop culture, American pop culture, in this amazing set of 9 episodes of Star Wars Visions, which has a galore of great production studios,
Right, like these are like well-known anime studios. I feel like sometimes when you see like a Disney does like a commercial with like a Japanese or anime theme, they're picking an American production company to do something that mimics anime. But no, this is like real anime studios. It's Trigger, Production IG, Kinema Citrus. It's like really big names. And
Trigger.
Yeah, like you'd almost expect like Studio Madhouse or MAPPA to be on this list, the way like these production credits stack up.
And I mean, in comparison to our last episode, I mean, some people are into the Matrix, some people are not, but a lot of our old nerds now, people that never got to see, the Revenge of the Sith and stuff like that, they're already passed away because they were old nerds at the time when this shit came out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, if you were 5 in 1979, you're probably still alive.
But if you were 30 and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I get it. This is like, to your point, I think what you're trying to say is Star Wars is like real nerd culture. Like, this was the original nerddom. This was like Dungeons and Dragons level, like, nerd fandom
for an American audience.
Right, right. Before we had anime or cartoons or just Marvel, like comic books were barely a thing in the 70s, sort of, kind of, like late 60s, but like
not everybody was into them.
What's the original golden age of comic books? The 80s?
Golden age? No, it's gonna be your 50s, 60s.
Oh, okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is like when were like Star Wars was.
So you have golden, your earliest comics, which is, Superman, Batman, stuff like that. Then you have your silver age of comics, when Marvel came in.
I was more relating them in terms of popularity.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, Star Wars had a nerd community before, like, Marvel comics really took over.
Absolutely.
I guess what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, yeah. And it is weird, because we here at Between Nerds, we love nerds.
Right.
But we also hate nerds.
I fucking hate nerds.
I
fucking hate nerds.
And there's a majority, and there's more hate to a lot more nerds than we have love for a certain group of nerds, because
I like Star Wars nerds, to me, well, at least on the internet, which isn't fucking real, like a la Dave Chappelle, but nerds on Twitter, Star Wars nerds, seem to hate most of Star Wars production
because they think it's so American.
Or like it has to have like some production purity to it. Like everything needs to be A New Hope, needs to be original Star Wars for the 2 millionth time. Like we just said, that movie came out in fucking like 1979. Get the fuck over it.
I'm tired of the Skywalkers. Give me something else. Give me something else. Don't get me wrong. I love Luke coming at the end of Mandalorian. That was great.
And a lot of the drama with Star Wars Visions, which is a Disney Plus like original production, is that it's so Japanese and it's so anime, which like I loved. I was like, holy shit! I could not imagine like 4 or 5 weeks ago Disney producing something like this. But when I watch certain episodes, I'm like, this is probably the greatest amalgamation of things that I fucking love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made so much sense. But nerds on the internet are like, what the fuck? Like, why is this anime shit in my Star Wars? What, like, it's the banned one that I always see people bitching about,
especially
too.
like boomer nerds.
Oh my god! Yeah. Which, like, George Lucas 20 years ago was doing interviews. 30. Well, I think the quote I'm trying to pull from was from 20 years ago when the prequels were coming out, about how like the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, was modeled after 13 Samurai. Thank you. So like there's entire film shots, there's entire scenery scenes, there's entire lines of dialogue, there's fight scenes, all in A New Hope, which you're claiming is like the end all be all of Star Wars, that were directly stolen from a Japanese movie that came out like 5 years sooner.
And it came to be I'm sorry, before I go into to what I was going to say, like Dune, everybody can make the argument that Dune was maybe an inspiration to what came to be Star Wars, you know?
I've never heard that before until you said it like right before we started recording.
Me neither, bro. But this is an old ass book and it seems like it's just
I know it's like hailed as probably
it's a
like
space journey. It's a space
right. It's hailed in American literature as like the epitome of like sci-fi in literature.
Correct. In literature, yes, you're right. And but like Star Wars, it's such a savory thing of space. I love space. I love lasers. I love space travel more than I like the fantastical, like the Lord of the Rings.
I always say that, and then like I watch something fantastical, I'm like, no, this is my shit. And then I go back to Star Wars, I'm like, I changed my mind. This is my. I don't know. I really like
big booms.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I like it's I feel like I was trying to say that about video games the other day because I was thinking of both the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. And I'm like, which do I prefer? But then I go back to, and I think about like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. I'm like, okay, cool. Like the sci-fi shit's my favorite. But then I think back on my playthroughs of Oblivion or even Skyrim, whatever. And I'm like, no, like that's my shit. I can't even compare the two anymore. I don't even know.
I know this is not really spacey, but like space, space. No, what is it? Rim space. No, what is it? Rim. The one with a robot and they fight the alien.
Is it Space Rim? It's
God. But I know that's one of your favorites.
Pacific Rim.
There you go.
I love Pacific Rim.
You know, it's big mechas and stuff.
And it's kaijus too, though, which is also very Japanese. Like
correct. And Star Wars. I mean, me growing up, before understanding the.
Thanks for bringing this conversation back to Star Wars.
Before I understand what lore was,
right?
Because when when I was growing up, I saw these movies as a single standalone thing.
Which one do you remember? Do you remember the prequels or like the originals?
Well, my earliest memory is New Hope.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's why. Because like when I look back on Star Wars, I remember the prequels.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I can play that shit back in the back of my head. Like
that was my first movie theater Star Wars experience.
Okay, but you did watch A New Hope first.
Yes, and I think one of my old neighbors, which I had a recent talk to him not so long ago when I went to the baptism like 2 weeks ago. Right. I talked to him and I hadn't talked to him in forever, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I have a podcast now. We talk about all this shit. It's like Mandalorian. He's like, oh, Mandalorian. Did you like the new movies? It's like, well, I don't really like how in the direction that they went with the new movies, but like some of the parallels with with Luke Skywalker at the end of The Mandalorian and Rogue One in the scene at the end where Darth Vader comes in. Like, those two parallels of father and son is just outstanding. And I can't the new movies is so much CGI. I just want practical shit. I make it shitty looking. I don't care, but
I like that too. And I think Disney and Lucasfilms Productions understands that, because when I'm thinking of what was a really good one that was just like
Rogue One?
Rogue One. Yeah. Rogue One did use practical costumes, even if they did look shitty and rubbery, you know what I mean? And so even in the sequels, like, I remember I hated Episode 8. I could not stand Episode 8. But Episode 8 is ranked higher by, like, movie critiquing professionals than Episodes 7 or 9, which doesn't make sense to me, because 7 or 9 fit so much more into Star Wars lore and fitting the story. Episode 8 is like somebody that very much grew up with the original Star Wars. Episode 4 finally got the chance 50 years later to make the movie he always wanted to make. And that's the culmination of Episode 8. But it doesn't fit anything we've seen since fucking 1985.
Like, no world standing, no...
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got a glimpse of Phasma, right? General Phasma or Captain
Phasma.
Captain Phasma. And everybody was excited for that, you know? But... we didn't get any of it.
No,
it was like Boba
not.
Fett in Episode 4 and 5.
Which is hilarious, because it's like, Star Wars makes so much money regardless. Like, whoever owns the rights to Star Wars makes money no matter what. Like, they barely need to make anything passable or, like, critiquable. Like, the Star Wars history is flooded with, like, bad reviews and bad critiques. And our original point is we were relating it to, like, the fandom and how people care about canon. Something I want to bring up before we started going into episodes is that Star Wars Visions canon, they kind of make it up on the spot, which is also why nerds are upset, because the original Star Wars expanded universe was fleshed out through books, through, like, literal sci-fi novels. Like, it's the fucking 80s, you know what I mean? We didn't have short video on demand services to expand the universe. So the original canon with things like kyber crystals and lightsabers was that you could imbue your force synergy into a kyber crystal, and that was what changed the color of the lightsabers, right?
Correct. Yeah, kyber crystals were somewhat neutral until in the hands of a Jedi or an apprentice.
Right. Like, if you're evil, it turns red. If you have an affinity for fighting, it's blue. If you have an affinity to the Force, to the light side of the Force, it turns green. And that's how Star Wars Vision treats it.
I think you got it backwards.
What?
I think you got it backwards. I think the blue one is the protector of the light side, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because the blue's supposed to be the better fighter, and that's the significance of Luke Skywalker. The one he makes is green.
Yes.
Because it's about him being more attuned to the actual Force.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the case with Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan has the blue, and he was almost the protector of...
Right. No, I think we're agreeing, though, because that's why Anakin's was blue.
Anakin's was blue?
Anakin's was blue. For that reason.
But Luke is green because
he's
like a better warrior?
No. Green does not mean better warrior. Blue's better warrior.
Okay.
Green means... I think you're equating being more attuned with the Force with being a better warrior, which isn't necessarily the case.
Correct.
Because sometimes the Force, especially the light side of the Force, will tell you to be passive, which is why you would not have the blue. You'd have the green.
Correct. Okay.
But, so that's how Star Wars Visions treats it, and, like, half of the episodes, like 3-4 of the episodes are about kyber crystals, and about imbuing your own energy into the crystals and making your own blade. But that's not... After Disney bought the rights to LucasArts in... what was it? It was like 2011, 2012, something like that.
Probably.
They changed the canon. So they threw away all the books. All the books people gave a shit about for 30, 40 years, which, like, that's why everyone that was originally a fan of Star Wars fucking hates Disney. Because they spent 30 fucking 40 years of their life dedicating themselves to this canon, and some conglomerate picks it up and is like, nah, fuck that. That shit's for nerds. So they revamped the canon. And the current canon, especially with kyber crystals and lightsabers, is that your affinity for the Force will lead you to your kyber crystal. And so there's an episode of Star Wars Clone Wars, which was an animated show that came out on Disney in like 2012. They stick some younglings on a mountain secluded at a Jedi temple, and they're like, just roam around this fucking cave, do whatever you want, and just don't die. So they go on their own little force trips. They're giving these children mushrooms inside of this cave, and they're tripping. And that's how they find out their affinity to the Force, because the Kyber crystal calls out to them. And then the red lightsabers are red because they're synthetic.
Correct. Yeah, I had that in mind.
Right. So Star Wars Visions, but the point to all this is that these anime studios were just given freedom to do whatever the fuck they wanted. Whatever the fuck they wanted. So they were just making up canon on the spot. There's whole episodes where they forget like physics exists.
Yeah, I mean, like Star Wars kind of is at some point, you know?
Yeah, like it's science fiction, but they'll try to like logic it out sometimes. You know what I mean? I think we're going to talk about them more individually, but the episode I'm thinking of is the twins, because they're just literally like talking and walking in space, and it's never like explained why they're just doing it because cool shit's happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't believe anything in like even the prequels or the originals. They mentioned like you could just be in space like that.
Like there's no air pressure like bumping down on your face. There's no. But anyways, to the point, the way we're going to talk about Star Wars Visions, because it's 9 episodes, and I think they did that because of the 9 episodes of the core Star Wars franchise.
Probably.
I think that's why they did it. But as opposed to going in the order that they're presented to us, me and Aldo decided that we're going to talk about these episodes from our least favorite to the most favorite. We're going to put the least favorite first, so that when we're not running out of energy, like I have the motivation to make it to the end and talk about my favorite episode. But these earlier ones, they were just I'm falling asleep during.
And it's not that they're awful.
They're not terrible. It's still Star Wars anime, so you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you're still seeing fucking fights, very awesome like stills of like amazing like panoramic views and stuff.
And that was always part of the Star Wars directing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, they really did watch Star Wars for this.
And here in the first episode that we're gonna talk about, I believe this is the last episode. This is the episode 9. It is called
Akakiri,
which follows almost a problematic romance between two individuals.
Yeah, and a big thing that we're gonna start bringing up too is the production studios that made each episode. This one was produced by Science Saru, which also produced the episode that we're going to be talking about next called Toby. And Science Saru, I was going through their Wikipedia page at their IMDb. There's not a whole lot here. They have some animation credits on an Adventure Time episode and an episode of Space Dandy.
And Devilman.
And Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I have seen Devilman Crybaby.
I heard it's weird.
I love it. I think you'd like it. You'd like it a lot.
Yeah, because it's weird, huh?
It feels like it's because it's horror. It's
dark.
It's very dark, like world ending, like the universe is falling in on itself level dark. And it's like what somebody who likes Dead Man Wonderland, if they actually had taste in anime, what they would like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, like if you were watching Dead Man Wonderland, and you're like, this is my fucking shit. Me and you watch it, we just flame that shit for 2 hours. I would tell them just like watch Devilman Crybaby. Like,
okay, yeah, because I saw some conversation about Devilman, and I saw some like small videos of it. I'm like, holy shit, I kind of want to watch this.
It's a Netflix readaptation of a anime that was based off a manga that was published in the 90s, but they fucked up the original anime. It's like the JoJo's experience.
Okay.
When they first tried to do JoJo's, they just fucked it up. Like the anime literally, the way people used to make anime literally could not keep up with what the manga needed in terms of production. Which I get it. I'm not mad at that, but. Eventually, we'll watch Devilman Crybaby. I feel like I said that at one point too. I don't even
really.
remember.
I don't think you've mentioned it because I just heard
you
about it.
You just found out.
Yeah,
my bad. I'm failing you as an anime friend.
It's all right.
But going back to Akakiri,
yes,
it's
what
it's
can
not
you say about it.
It's not bad. It reminds me a lot of like maybe Samurai Champloo. It reminds me. It feels very old Japanese. It's about a lone samurai, a lone Jedi, being found, being nursed back to health, being out on a mission, but there's also a level of mysteriousness to it because it's about a Ronin, a rogue samurai. You know what I mean? So, or a rogue Jedi, which is like, this is cool because that does relate into like old anime that we've seen. It feels like almost like an episode of Samurai Jack, which is the same theme there. Which, even though it's an American production, it was also based off
a masterless Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Which is literally a Ronin. Like it's a samurai without a master. It's fucking Zoro.
Don't call him a samurai because nerds are gonna get mad.
It's Zoro from One Piece. But like that's what's cool about a lot of these episodes. Because what if you are an anime studio and you're given free reign to make anything in Star Wars? What's the coolest shit? The Jedi, right? Like the lightsaber fighting. So most of the animators understood the assignment. They're like, okay, cool. We're just gonna make shit about fucking space samurai. Like, who gives a fuck?
And throughout these episodes, we see something we never seen before in Star Wars adaptations, where they literally draw their lightsabers from a sheath.
Yeah, that's fire.
It's fucking fire,
That's so fire.
bro.
Which, like, that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Because we understand that to be because if you're turning switch on your lightsaber, it's gonna beam up, right?
Correct.
But in the movies, it happens so quickly, or that's what we're led to believe, that it almost seems instantaneous to us. This one's just like, if I slowly pull my lightsaber out of my sheath, like, here it comes. Like, that's so fire. That's so dope.
And it's those
It's very Kill
crumbs.
Bill.
It's those crumbs of like Japanese culture that you're like, you want to see that in.
Yeah, I wish they'd been upfront about the Japanese inspiration, like, all along. Like, holy fuck, like, this is amazing.
Because don't get me wrong, seeing General Grievous pull fucking 6 sabers at the time, one time, it looks cool. But just pulling your saber out.
That's
out of the
like
shit-
7-year-old cool though. You want better than one lightsaber? 9. But like, to your point here, it's just like, it's so old school badass. Like, it feels like you're up at 2 a.m. on Adult Swim watching
fever dreams.
Right, having fever dreams about what fucking Space Cowboy? What am I thinking?
Space Andy? No.
No.
Cowboy Bebop?
Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy
Yeah,
Bebop.
like, you know what I mean? That's what it feels like watching this. It's like, am I tripping? Are they really letting Star Wars do this? Like, that's amazing. But Akakiri is, we're talking about it first because it's our agreed upon least favorite, is because, like, it's so boring. Like, it has all these great elements from all the other episodes that they all share. Everything that we just spoke highly of with this episode, every other episode shares it, so that doesn't make it unique. But it's so just dull. It's literally about just like traveling from point A to point B. We'll show you some cool animation out in space, and there's cool Star Wars animals and rides that we have going on. But the ending thing, like the ending story, the ending villain, the plot resolution is literally the end to the most recent Star Wars movie, Episode 9, which is like, I can give somebody my life through the Force, right? Which is so cheap. Like, it's such a big deal when it happens in the movie, because this is like 30, 40 years of movie storytelling, and then it feels like they didn't earn that plot piece almost. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk like about a bigwig like Disney and coming to this studios to produce this episode that we're talking about is 15 minutes.
Right.
That's a fucking Robot Chicken episode.
It feels longer.
It does feel longer. And to your point of like the resolution that it feels so empty, we see this emptiness throughout the entire episode because it's mostly like this amazing still background shots of like
It'd do better as a comic.
of solace. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels that it's gonna be sad. That it's gonna be.
Yeah. It's not as sad either, because it's like, so the ending resolution is this guy, this Jedi who's hurt, is asking his lady friend, like, hey, please take me to this one place where the Empire is and let me fight the Sith Lord there. Because I'm assuming this is after Order 66, after the ordered elimination of all the Jedi. So he's a rogue Jedi, which is very rare at this point. This would be after Episode 3, before Episode 4. And he meets the villain. He meets the Sith Lord. She pulls out a giant red lightsaber. Short lightsaber fight happens. His lady friend dies. You know what I mean? Like, she walks in at the wrong time, gets shot by a rogue laser, and he's just like, I will sacrifice my life to you, Miss Sith Lord, if you help me protect my lady through the Force. Mm-hmm. Together, they imbue her with Force energy. She comes back to life, and he just walks away because he's like, well, now my life belongs to the Sith because I had to save you.
Mm-hmm. And it almost brings you back to like
It feels Western. It feels Mandalorian-ish.
And I mean, from the main motivation from Anakin Skywalker to bring Padme back to life, or like to save somebody from death, it almost feels like
that's why he became Darth Vader.
It feels like we're seeing that here,
right?
In raw material,
right?
But it is good. I mean, animation and all, it's
fine. You know what I mean? It's not bad. Like it's perfect. There's one episode I was not a fan of the animation style, but like the more I talk with people, the more like I feel that it's really a lot of people's top 3. But for me, it felt cheap, and I don't want to talk about it too much here, but this one here feels cheap, but it's not cheap. Like, they clearly spent time on the character modeling, but not the animation itself. Because, like you were saying, it doesn't feel alive. It doesn't feel fleshed out. Like, not a whole lot's in motion.
And not just in animation-wise, but, like, even motivation-wise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, the writing's not there either. Correct. Like, that's such cheap writing. Just, like, that's what's sad about it. He saved his girlfriend from dying, and now he's gonna live a life of slavery. Like,
and we've talked about like animes that are 12 episodes, and they can fit so much into 12 episodes instead of like 24 episode seasons. And here, in this opportunity that they got for a production of maybe 15 minutes, who knows how they managed each episode time run, but they don't.
It's only 13 minutes.
They didn't really get me anywhere.
No,
those 13 minutes didn't get me anywhere.
I don't know how those 13 minutes seem so hollow.
Exactly.
Like, it's so weird when you're watching it. You're just like, that doesn't make sense.
Exactly. But I mean, animation alone, it is pretty to watch. It is Star Wars, and if you're not a Star Wars fan, maybe this is not your episode to watch. You know, like, you shouldn't.
What are the names? Science Saru had 2 productions here. Their second production for Star Wars Visions did make our second least favorite like episode, which like I feel a little bad about. And this second episode called Toby, except it's spelled out like T0-B1, Toby, whatever.
Correct.
It's I like the animation style in this one way more.
And it's funny that you say that, because I don't know if you guys remember, or if you, Drew, remember that I was playing Mega Man for a while.
Yeah, it's literally Mega Man, but like he's like white with like green tints instead of blue.
Astro Boy, Mega Man, shit. And this is another topic, and we're jumping into our next episode, like you said, the T0-B1, which is Toby episode. This is the name of our droid.
Right.
And when I was watching...
Which is a great concept. It's about a droid becoming a Jedi. Holy fuck, how did I never... Because, like, something I love that almost every episode picks up on is that a big part of the original trilogy is, like, when you wonder, like, why did Luke always have R2 and C-3PO around? It's because there's something about the way they make droids in the Star Wars universe that attunes them to the Force, because they have feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Which they're not supposed to, because they're fucking droids. They're robots. They're machines.
Correct. Roger.
Right. But with your affinity to the Force, you can feel how machines like interact with different life forms, which is why R2-D2 in the canon and the lore of Star Wars has this ginormous personality.
Like, R2-D2 might as well be the star of the entire fucking saga.
Of the original trilogy, at least. Like, yeah. Absolutely, 1,000%. You know what I mean? But it's wild that it took this episode for me to think, like, holy shit, a droid could literally be a Jedi. Like I think there's Star Wars Clone Wars episodes about how machines can have affinity to the dark side. And I don't know why I never put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, what if a robot had affinity to the light side, which we've seen before, but it's just like, what if you gave him a lightsaber?
Absolutely. And as I'm watching this, I was having like almost a tiny stroke thinking about like I was like, what?
You've been studying hard, buddy. Congratulations. I know you're working hard for your Fire Academy stuff, but like, holy fuck.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, have we ever seen a a saber dueling droid? Have we ever seen a droid
Like General
use
Grievous,
force?
maybe? Like,
But he was a human before he got his mechanical body.
I don't think he was human. He was
I mean,
alien.
not human.
He was an alien.
But
He was alive.
organic.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching this, I'm like, first of all, I'm thinking Mega Man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm thinking RoboCop. I'm thinking Astro Boy. I'm thinking all this shit. And then
RoboCop's a good one. Yeah.
and it's such a fucking brain blast, new fucking Jimmy Neutron fucking shit that you're seeing this android kid who lost his
Adopted father,
his
who was
adopted father,
who's
who
also
was
his master
and
like
a
he
Jedi.
almost didn't even realize he was learning how to be a Jedi.
yeah, it was by like Slumdog Millionaire kind of aspect.
I
you
never
know?
watched Slumdog Millionaire.
Really? Oh,
No,
it's a
I
great
never
movie.
did.
But yeah, like it's your life experience leads you to a point in your life, which is what happens to our protagonist here, which is Toby, our robot.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you, did you notice something familiar about the animation style here, with the grainy background, just like Odd Taxi?
No, I didn't pick it up at all. Why? What's going on?
Yeah, the grainy background, like all the besides the moving animation.
You're talking about like the focus texture, like what's in focus is very in focus, but then everything else is blurred out like it's a real
grainy,
camera.
Yeah, just like not like a real camera, but like Odd Taxi.
Right.
Remember Odd Taxi? Like everything in movement, it's nice and
I
edged
get
out,
you. Oh, I
but
get
like
you.
everything in the background looks like sandy.
Honestly, I didn't even think about that, but like I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Which is like it's an easy but effective way to save money, but it still shows you who's in focus. Like it's a good like directing technique.
Yeah, and what we're seeing in the background with this grainy animation style, it looks great. We have a lot of blues, a lot of neons, a lot of contrast. It's cool.
And like what the thing I originally picked up on, which I don't know if it's fucking true, is the blues are to signify like the light side here, because it's about an exiled Jedi master who's in seclusion after Order 66, after the ordered execution of all Jedi in the galaxy, like raising a droid boy with the personality of a boy. Like,
you know what just dawned on me?
What?
It's Pinocchio.
It's kind of Pinocchio. It's a little Pinocchio-y. And about him raising him up, even though he's not a real boy, and like training him in the light side and training him to continue his mission, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea is because he's a droid, he's immortal, so he can achieve the same mission forever, right?
Which there's no... Like, he doesn't know he's being trained. He doesn't know there's this mission of his.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
He's just living a great life with a great mentor, great father figure of who's a master, and he's just dreams about being a real boy, just like Pinocchio.
He says Jedi. He says
Yeah.
he dreams of being a real Jedi.
Yeah, but in context of Star Wars, we know that you really can be a droid and be part of, like,
Even
that.
Anakin couldn't be a Jedi master, bro. What makes you think you can do it?
He was evil. He killed little kids.
But my point about the colors is that early on, when you're discussing the master and the boy, it's a bunch of blues. Like we were just discussing about the lightsaber colors. Mm-hmm. But then when there's flashbacks about the enemy and evil, like X-Wing fighters, like they're in red. You know what I mean? Like that's always been the easy like visual metaphor in Star Wars. It's like it's light side versus dark side, right? Like, which is why the sequels had so much more to do about like the gray side in between, like what really is moral, what really is amoral. Like if somebody got tricked into being a monstrous overlord in the galaxy, is he really a bad guy? You know what I mean? Is there room for him to fix himself? Like, and that's also the resolution to Darth Vader in episode 6 is like, was he ever really a bad guy? Because he was kind of manipulated, but at the same time, he made his choice because he gave up his humanity to save his dying wife, right?
Yeah, and I mean to that point, like we know the prophecy of like the original movies, like he was there to destroy the Sith in a way, you know what I'm saying? But nobody knew that he had to be part of the Sith before, you know, doing anything against the Sith. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I think that's what flushes out who the original chosen one is, who the real chosen one is. Because I think it is Luke. It's not Anakin.
Correct.
Because when they originally found Anakin as a boy. He was too old to be trained in the Force, but they let him anyways because his affinity to midichlorians and his Force pressure was so much. It was just like, we can't not train him. This has to be the chosen one.
Dialogue on the last episode of The Mandalorian. Luke tells the Mandalorian, he's like, if I don't take him now, without training experience, he can become very dangerous.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So...
And that's why I think Luke was the chosen one, because Luke was given the same trials as Anakin, and he came out of it much better than Anakin did. You know what I mean? The story structure, that's why everyone was so mad in the early 2000s. Same Star Wars nerds were critiquing earlier about, like, when the prequels came out, it's just like, oh, they're just copying the originals. Why are they doing this? Why are they fleshing out Darth Vader's story for him to be exactly the same as Luke? And just like, that's the point. It's cyclical for a reason. That's how the Force works. But when it comes to Toby, the funny part is he learns his affinity to the light side, to life itself, because his master is trying to bring rain in wild natural fauna to this deserted planet. Which is his whole... That's what he claims is his life goal, but really he's training Toby in the ways of the Force.
Correct.
Because Toby, as a child, as an ignorant child who just dreams of being a Jedi, he finds his master's old spaceship. And he accidentally lets out a signal that shows the Empire, who's trying to follow through with Order 66 and kill all Jedi in the universe, in the galaxy, excuse me, they have to go hunt after him because they recognize the signal from the ship, right? So Toby's master gives up his life because he's like, I'm already old. I trained my golden years just to make sure that I have an apprentice. And the animation at the end is great because it's literally about Toby the robot after his master dies, fighting,
being hunted down
by a Jedi hunter, by a Sith fighter.
And by the way, throughout all these episodes, the Sith character designs are fucking
that's like the best part in every episode. I'm like, what the fuck is the Sith gonna look like in this episode?
Dude, it is fucking insane because they're giving homage to Japanese culture and like the armor, the helmets, the fucking motivation and the quick attacks. They're not bullshitting you. They're not giving you the comic book, I'm gonna tell you what my plan is before you fucking kill me. No, they're like going there to kill this fucking little kid.
And there's always a standoff, which again, it's like, it's a fucking film samurai fight. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's always like, I'm gonna kill you before you get me. It's a Western in that way. It's so Mandalorian. It's so
Mexican standoff.
Yeah, exactly. It's an Old Mendes standoff. And it's great. Like, Toby's, I know it sounds bad that Toby's like our second to least favorite, but like, it's because it's not,
and not in a bad way. We ranked these, but not.
It's just missing something. It's missing. It has such a childlike feel to it that it's hard for me to take it seriously.
And it's as the story progresses, and I do want to point out all the other little droids that. Just because Toby's a droid, he has a connection to all these little droids that his master made, and all these characters are present.
Right.
They're unlike in our last episode that we talked about. What was it? Akakiri. Like, I'm seeing more substance in this little droids running around Toby than what I saw in the entirety of Akakiri's episode.
Right.
And it almost feels like Sonic with all these robotic like birds and forest creatures almost. It feels so good. And then when we come to our like to the third act of this episode, when the Sith Lord pinpoints his location and finds them. Not only is he scared shitless of what the fuck he's gonna do, but he has a vision. His master comes in a Force ghost,
right?
And he's like, "Don't worry about it. You're ready." It's like this is where our Pinocchio character is told that he's a real boy.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up because that reminds me of something I'm watching currently, and the only thing I'm watching like profusely is season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho, which we're not even talking about for another 2 weeks. And it feels so ridiculous that I'm so far ahead. But like, once I started season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho, like, I can't put it down. Like every empty minute I have, I'm like, I need to be watching Yu Yu Hakusho. It's so good. But the current part I'm on, the reason why I'm bringing it up is there's a part where the final test in Yusuke's training in the spirit wave is to be imbued with like a piece of energy that hurts him physically. Like, it makes him bleed and like he's being torn apart from the inside out. And that's kind of the same feeling I got in this instance you're describing, where the Force Ghost is telling Toby, like, no, dude, you've got this. The Force is within you. Because Toby is told, like, find a Kyber crystal, finish this part of the lightsaber. And when Toby's like, where the fuck is the Kyber crystal? Where did my master hide the Kyber crystal? It has this super anime like solution to it, which is just like,
it was in you the entire time.
Right. It's just like, as soon as Toby really accepted his affinity to the Force, he realized that the Kyber crystal is literally inside of like his chest plate. So it comes out super dramatic. And this is where it has like the old canon to it, where it's like Toby's Force energy is put into the Kyber crystal, which he puts into a lightsaber, which makes it blue, but it's made of Toby's Force energy, which is not how the current canon's supposed to work. But it's fine, whatever. But it's fine, because the final fight with like this Jedi Hunter is just so wild, because that's all Star Wars Rebels was about. It was about Jedi Hunters and the aftermath of Order 66. But they just make this one so Astro Boy, and they just turn it up to 1,000,000, because I like the writing trope, especially in like anime fighting and shonen fighting, where it's okay if the protagonist gets hurt. I hate when protagonists have just like this writing shield around them that they can never be hurt. Toby loses an arm. He's a robot. He can't. Well, I'm not gonna say grow it back, but it's like,
if he loses both arms, he might be out of luck because he can't rebuild his other arm.
Exactly. Thank you. So I love that piece of writing. It's just like, holy shit! Like, can Toby come out of this? Like, he's missing an arm.
And before like he loses his arm, I mean, we follow this great scale with lightsaber lining red and blue, and we have background of a storm raining up on them as they're making moves and changing stances, and the little robots that I'm telling you, the little companions, they help him into like this mecha evolution, like we love to see in Darling in the Franxx and shit like that.
Right. It's so like what's it called?
Megatron-ish.
Yeah, like Power Rangers-ish. It's so what are they called, where they're lions and they turn into a fucking Megazord?
Yeah.
No. But that's not Power Rangers. It's
Voltron?
Voltron, thank you. It's so Voltron-ish about it.
Yeah.
And again, that feeds into like, Toby has affinity to these random droids because he can feel their affinity to the light side of the Force within themselves, because he's also a droid who's affinity to the light side of the Force, which, like, there's so much canon that you can fit into this that, like, I hate that, like, these Star Wars nerds, like, didn't appreciate what they had. Like, if you were to break down this in terms of, like, Force canon, you could talk about this shit for days.
Yeah,
like,
and honestly, I'm kind of mad we put him in this spot, but it's a great episode.
Because when you're watching it and you compare it to, like, every other episode, you're just like, not really, dude. Like, it's not... But it's fine. It's okay. Toby's great. I know it's our second to last, but the one that I see most people bitch about on the internet is Tatooine Rhapsody, which in terms of like the episodes, it's the second one. It's literally the second one.
Correct.
And this is the one that has everyone's fucking panties in a bunch. And like, I get it, but I don't get it. At the same time, shut the fuck up. Like, it's fine. You know what I mean?
And it's we talked about this before we put the fucking hot mic on. The reason I loved it was because in comparison to the first episode, which we'll get into it later, this feels like what Yu Yu Hakusho does for anime in the 90s. Right. It feels like, okay, this is anime. Okay, you are in touch with your anime culture, that you put a rogue set of individuals who like to play music,
right,
and are being hunted bounty hunters,
Right.
Which includes Boba Fett.
You know who Daft Punk is, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Man.
So you know the gods
Around the world?
of pop music, techno, modernism that is Daft Punk, correct?
I think so. Yeah. I
Did
heard
you
of them.
did you ever watch the anime film that they came out
Absolutely.
with for Interstellar 5555?
That was my introduction to Daft Punk, bro.
Okay. Glad that was produced by Toei Animation. Toei Animation, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the Toei Animation.
My heart grew 2 sizes right now just hearing that.
Okay, so this Interstellar Rhapsody reminded me so much of Interstellar 55555 because it literally starts with what almost like bright fucking anime colors, rich fucking bold textures over the character models, and they're just jamming out, bro. You know what? It feels so carefree. It's so Interstellar 555. It's so space dandy. It's so
To your point, the series of music videos that Daft Punk brought out in that series of, because it's, I believe it's Around the World, it's One More Time, it's
It wasn't Around the World. It was One More Time though.
One More Time, Something Between Us, or
Something
About
Between
Us.
Us. Oh
Something
my
About
god.
Us. Oh my god,
That's
dude.
like the best one
It
too.
is,
Like
because if you guys aren't familiar with this fucking series of music videos, it follows aliens who lost their memory and they're placed in Earth.
No. They didn't lose their memories. The first few episodes is they're playing a live show like they are here, but then the Galactic Federation doesn't want them to be playing live music a la fucking
because it's
Footloose.
illegal in Germany style.
like Footloose or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It's like the plot to fucking Footloose, and it's just like, so this band is jumping from galaxy to galaxy to galaxy, just trying to play their music, but they're being hunted down by interstellar fucking space cops, which is literally the plot to Interstellar Rhapsody.
And now that I'm talking in Daft Punk terms, it just makes it much more awesome.
Which this is the episode that has everybody mad because it's so anime. It's so fucking like just carefree, K-on, like just live your own life how you want to and play good happy music kind of vibe. That I could understand how like Star Wars nerds that never got out of that bubble after Disney bought Star Wars. Which, like, I understand why. Like, big company changed, like, how you've been living your life and the canon you've spent so much time to. But
and here we touch on a very big or a hot topic, which is the bounty hunters. Like,
Right.
we know that in Star Wars, if you are if you're a contract of a bounty hunter, you're gonna get hunted.
oh yeah,
and
you're
gonna
done.
fucking
You're
done. Yeah.
Especially because like it's always Boba Fett who was the original bounty hunter in Episode 2, and then the prequels had so much of his clones running around, and how Boba Fett's the clone of the other Fett. I can't even remember his name right now.
Django.
Jango Fett. Thank you very much. And so, like, I get it. Like, the Fetts have, like, a very large piece of canon. They were even in the most recent Mandalorian, right? Old Boba Fett might get his own series soon, is what Disney announced.
Dad bod Boba Fett. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Dad Bod Boba Fett's gonna get his own fucking Disney Plus series soon, which is, like, wild to think about. So, Interstellar, no, I'm sorry.
Tatooine Rhapsody.
Tatooine Rhapsody is so, like, within that canon that I hate that people hate it. You know what I mean? Because, yes, it's our third least favorite again, but it's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
I would suggest looking up on YouTube the Japanese voice dubbing for the song that they play at the end.
Oh yeah, 'cause it's horrible in English.
It's horrible in English. It's so terrible.
We're having a good time here in Tatooine. Da 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 da. Fuck off.
Right,
Yeah.
which like you compare it to your what you brought up about not Dead Man Wonderland, Devilman Crybaby earlier. There in the first episode of Devilman Crybaby, there is a scene that pisses a lot of people off. That in the dub, there's a piece of rapping which is in English sounds really bad and like really really fucking tacky, but it's such like a big part of the subbing and the Japanese dubbing animation that like I can see how people get mad. And that the same thing happens right here.
And back to the plot of this episode. Like you said, they start off with like this super like Daft Punk vibe of like One More Time, and they're playing as a big kind of smallish gig at a warehouse.
Yeah.
And they're playing off their spaceship, which is really cool. You don't notice this, but the stage that they're playing on is their spaceship parked, and they build a venue around it. Right. And they're playing, and we see a group of like five bounty hunters, including Boba Fett, and I believe another bounty hunter, which is very important in the Star Wars canon, but I can't remember who, the lizard face one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, we are seeing a group of, a band getting crashed, and they're like, what the fuck are these kids what are these band players gonna do? But they fucking fight it out. We have, 5 members of the band? One of them that resembles a slug creature, just like Jabba?
Yeah, well, I think he's the same species as Jabba the Hutt, because the whole reason that Boba Fett's hunting them is because he owes Jabba Fett, like, money, or, like, his life or something. So that's, like, the end of the thing, is they're running from Jabba the Hutt, but they end up on Tatooine at the same time, and they perform a song, and they're, as an audience, you think they're gonna escape, but they kind of, like, accept their fate. We're like, hey, Jabba the Hutt, we just jammed out so hard, kind of let us live our own lives how we want to, but we'll stay on Tatooine, and we'll kind of be your slaves.
Well, yeah, it did play it like that, but I think the exact plot was that they captured the slug creature that is the same species as Jabba the Hutt, but then they worked out a deal that just let us play one more time.
Yeah.
Like Daft Punk. Let's just play one more time.
One
time. And once we finish with that, like, it's okay. You can kill him, you know?
Yep.
And once this slug character gets trapped, I mean, he loses hope. He's like, oh shit, like Jabba already got me. I'm going into carbonite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And his friends show up. He's like, hey, what's up, fucker? What are you guys doing here? Oh, this is fucking dangerous. Like, don't worry about it. We worked out a deal with Big Boy. We're gonna play one last fucking concert right here on Tatooine, which is the same racing, right? The pod racing,
right? Because it's
center.
Tatooine, yeah.
And they play,
like they jam the fuck out.
The biggest venue they ever played.
Everyone's super excited to hear them playing,
and they jam out.
Yeah,
they fucking jam out, and because they jam out so hard, it's almost like, yeah, we'll keep playing for free because you're gonna get all these people into your fucking venue.
Right.
And now they're just living their dream.
Right.
Of playing.
So it's sad, but it's not sad, but it is sad, but it's not sad.
It's like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, but they're literally working every day of their life kind of thing.
But before I forget, this was produced by Kinema Citrus, which is the studio that made Made in Abyss. So, like, I feel very strongly about, like, this animation style. Like, it looks great. Don't get me wrong. Like, every piece of it, I'm like, holy fuck.
Like miniature Boba Fett animation?
Yes. It's so dope. Great. It's so fire. Like, it's because this episode, more than any other episode, tried to fit, like, the actual canon. Mm-hmm. Like, they tried tying in. This is the only one that has, like, named characters from the main Star Wars storyline, a la Boba Fett. And,
places.
Yeah, real places. Everyone else was just like, we're just gonna make up a planet, make up our own story, whatever.
Correct.
This is the only one that fit a canon, and it's so ironic that, like, nerds hate it. It's so ironic. Like,
it's a good fucking thing. And besides the song, I mean, what can I tell you? This fucking kid's...
The song in English is my only gripe, pretty much. The only thing.
And these kids just are going to live their dream now to just play music and hang out all the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe if Jabba gives them a little bit of leash, maybe they'll get some space hookers and some space wine.
Some space hookers?
You know what I'm saying?
The next episode in our list, fourth from the bottom, is called The Village Bride, which has a big production tag tied to it, which is Production IG. The Production IG that made Psycho-Pass, Edens of the East, Haiku, Ghost in the Shell, some anime you've probably fucking heard of, you know what I mean? And it's so good. Like, I hate that I agreed with you that we needed list the episodes this way, but I feel like if I were a passive listener and I was like, why did they put this one fourth from the bottom? I'd be almost upset until I sat down and thought about it, because the Village Bride is so good. Like when I was watching it, I was like, holy fuck, because there's so many episodes in Star Wars Visions that fit the Western theme, which is why everyone loves The Mandalorian so much, which is why one of the themes in the original Star Wars that a lot of people were missing in the prequels. There's no Western, full-bodied Ronin on his own kind of feel to it. But this is one of the ones that really has that feel. It's really about like some wandering. They don't call them Jedi, but they're light force affinitive. They are here to help people. They're here in this random village, in this random piece of the galaxy, at this random planet, and they're trying to help them. Like a fucking Western, you know what I mean?
It almost gave me Princess Mononoke vibes.
Yeah.
Very, very. And we see this throughout the entire Star Wars fandom or media, that it's Jedi's trying to hold in their urge to do something because they're in hiding. They're in.
Which is why like I think the time period after Order 66 has like such a high like significance to it, because it's like, especially so if you watch the original Star Wars, you hear so much from Luke being like, oh, Mr. Obi-Wan is a Jedi? I heard that they were all extinct and they're being hunted by the Imperial Empire, blah, 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 blah.
Well, of course I know who that is.
Yeah, that's me. Which is why it's so interesting that so many of the Star Wars Visions episode picked up on that, because it's such an interesting time period. Because it's like the most interesting characters in the galaxy are being hunted down by this galaxy-wide empire, which is so dope. It's so fire, because the Village Bride is literally the empire is trying to contract and like hold down a village of people on this planet, but because they're low tech and they're you know they're good people, but you know what I mean, they're not very civilized, they're not super high tech, they can't defend themselves against the fucking empire.
Is that Vietnam of...
Right, exactly. So America, the fucking Jedi, bust in to give some fucking freedom.
Yeah.
And so it's called the Village Bride because this village agreed to be subjugated to the Empire by giving up the village chief's daughter in as a ward, a la Game of Thrones or The Song of Ice and Fire or something like that.
Yeah, Khaleesi or whatever the fuck her name is.
She wasn't a ward.
Oh, okay.
No, a ward would be like in the original Game of Thrones season. What's his name? The son of the Kraken. He's the son of Pike.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm barely on episode 5 of fucking Game of Thrones, but I understand your point.
No, he's introduced in episode 1. I'm sorry, I can't remember his fucking name. He plays like such a big portion, but like in medieval times, if your enemy of this empire swore allegiance to you, so you know, swearing allegiance to somebody doesn't mean anything on paper, but it's like, hey, send me your daughter. So like if you fuck around and like try to invade my borders, I'm gonna stick your daughter. So that's what a ward is. Okay. Like you're protecting them, you're warding them, but at the same time they're
collateral.
Yeah, they're political prisoner.
Yeah,
which is exactly what's happening in The Village Bride. Mm-hmm. And we get these two random people passing through the village, and they're like, oh, what's up? They get invited to the dinner. They start hearing about the troubles that the village is happening, about how the Empire is coming the next day. And it's just kind of like, it's exactly what you expect it to be. Like, there's no story, like, surprises or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Because it just so happens that the girl and the guy end up being, like, secret Jedi, and they're here to protect the village from the Empire, which is dope. It's so dope. Like, when it happens and it's finally revealed, it has one of my favorite force powers, which is like grabbing plasma energy out of the air from like a fucking plasma blaster, just in the air and just holding it, which is just so. I hate that people hate the prequels. I mean the sequels to Star Wars, because there's so many cool things that were taken. If you were to expand on the canon in the movies, that you were like, yeah, why the fuck couldn't Darth Vader hold like plasma energy in the air? He totally could have. He was a fucking Sith Lord.
I mean, things that back then wouldn't be possible without a lot of CGI or a lot of production money or budget. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
But when we saw in the first fucking the first movie of the sequels, when Kylo Ren holds that fucking blast, and he holds it, and you hear the blast just like brrr, like spazzing out, and it's great. It's one of the greatest things because the Force is everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even in this fucking blast.
Theon Greyjoy. Mm-hmm. Theon Greyjoy was Lord Stark's ward because the people of Pike are pirate people, and they had invaded the Northland at one point, and Lord Stark defeated them. So as punishment, he took Theon on as a ward.
True. Okay.
Anyways, sorry. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that. But anyways, the resolution to the Village Bride is just like, well, I'm a wandering Ronin, like always. So I'm going to dip out, but I'm going to leave my compatriot here to help you guys rebuild. Which is like, it's fine. It's 13 minutes long. It's not real canon. It's its own little pocket dimension story universe thing. But at the same time, it's like... It's so typical. Like, there's nothing... Once we get into, like, some of these later stories, it's just like, holy fuck, how did they think of this kind of shit?
And, by the way, I know it's not canon, but in Aldo's headcanon...
Mm-hmm. I love headcanon. I literally showed up to your house in a How I Met Your Mother sweatshirt, which, like, I have my own headcanon about.
And it's... looking at these villages, looking at these different cultures within the Star Wars universe, I in my head canon, I'm like, these are real people in this world, and they're just living and trying to fight off big imperialistic America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
And it feels so good because not only the character design and the animation, but like the skin tones, the different...
You would almost expect this one to be one of the Studio Trigger episodes because like the way it's animated, like the colors pop. Like they're not super worried about like hyper realism in animation, but like they want it to look good at the same time. They want the character models to be very distinct from the background. They want like everything to be very fluid. Like it looks great.
And I know we've like touched a lot like in Japanese culture stuff, but like here in this episode, more than all the other episodes, we see like an indigenous almost feel to the tribe, to a town, to a village, and it feels good. It feels good to see because, like I said, in my head canon, I'm like, yeah, there's these stories happening within the story that we know and love from Star Wars,
right?
And yeah, it's great.
I think I had it mixed up when I was describing it earlier. The Village Bride was produced by Kinema Citrus, which produced Made in Abyss. The next episode we're going to talk about, The Ninth Jedi, was produced by Production IG, which made Ghost in the Shell and Haiku and stuff like that. So I think it just jumped the gun a little bit.
Okay. Did we finish with Bride?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about The Village Bride. But The Ninth Jedi, I think, like, fits a lot into the same kind of themes, even though it's by a different anime studio here. Because The Ninth Jedi fits that same canon that it's like, hey, we have this child, this very Force-sensitive individual who is the daughter of an illegal, like, lightsaber maker. Which, like, she's clearly attuned to the Force. She's very lucky and can skateboard on air like other Jedi have. She's very nimble. But when she opens a lightsaber, because it's the old canon where you're imbuing this lightsaber with your own Force energy, because her dad is making illegal lightsabers, and she's being trained in the Force, like passively, which is like a cool aspect. It reminds us of Toby a little bit. And but whenever she picks up a lightsaber, the lightsaber comes out, but it's clear. Which is like the old canon, because her Force synergy isn't like aligned properly yet. She's not a trained Jedi. She's not really attuned to the Force yet.
She doesn't know who she is.
Right. Yeah. But which is a great metaphor, don't get me wrong. But she is Force sensitive here, because so the Empire's coming for her dad. They blow up his shop. She's running away in like a scene that looks like it's in episode 6 of Star Wars, where they're running away like in the forest, in the jungles, on the speed cruisers or whatever. And she has a lightsaber fight with her clear lightsaber, which she's not clearly attuned with a Jedi hunter. Yeah. Which it's so crazy to see, and you think about it, it's just like this girl has to be on the same level as like Rey, as Luke, as Anakin.
Like
she's
might as well be fighting with a fucking stick. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It feels that way and she still pulls through. Like she still like fights this person that is hunting them.
Right, and it's called the Ninth Jedi because the storyline here is her dad is making these lightsabers for a council of 9 Jedi who are going to meet up with a master at like on the Outer Rim. His name is Margrave Juro, and they're going to introduce themselves as the 9 Jedis, or as the apprentices of these 9 Jedi, and they're going to reform themselves into a Jedi Council because, it's the remnants of Order 66. Like the Jedi are being hunted across the universe. Or across the galaxy. I keep saying universe, but it's supposed to be the galaxy.
Uh-huh.
So, her big thing here is that she, again, the robot thing, the Force-sensitive droid thing canon in Star Wars, which I love, you know what I mean? Because that's real Star Wars canon, is that people that are Force-sensitive can speak clearly to droids and get them to motivate in a certain way. So she's trying to take a shuttle to the planet that Margrave Juro's on. And give her these 9 lightsabers that her dad gave her while dying to be like, hey, please get this to the Margrave. And through the Force, she kind of convinces this lazy droid, air quotes lazy droid, but he's lazy because through a Force-sensitive person's view, you can see a droid's personality. So she gets up to it's not a planet, but it's more like a comet. It's like a loose asteroid.
Like a rock, it's like Infinity Rock of...
Right, it's just this rock in space that the Margrave's hiding on, which looks like the handle to a lightsaber, which comes up at the end. So these 9 Jedi apprentices are already there. They're looking for the Margrave. They're speaking to this droid, and the droid's like, don't worry, your lightsabers are coming. The Margrave's on the way. And these apprentices, air quotes apprentices, feel like they're wasting their time. The little girl gets up there, hands the lightsabers to these 9 individuals. Like, 8 of them turn out to be fucking Sith right away. Which is fucking... It's wild to think about, because, like, as soon as you see red lightsabers, you're like, holy shit, she's dead. She's so dead.
And I'm glad you reminded me of this episode. It's... I don't know why I forgot, like, the big... almost like shock value in these small moments, because not only was his dad making Jedi paraphernalia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I have a paraphernalia charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I deferred that shit to adjudication. I have a job. Fuck you.
And it's it just sucks because I can't even connect it to another story, but it sucks that your mission when you saw your dad to bring these things to certain individuals, they turn out to be bad guys,
right?
You know, and when we talk about like Star Wars, Jedis to turn to the Sith, it's something not common, and to see it happen here 8 times.
It's because I don't think they were ever originally Jedi. I think what it's trying to tell them is that they were pretending to be Jedi. They were always Sith from the beginning.
Because in some episodes we do see some people turning bad. You know what I'm saying? But like here, it just seems like, holy fuck, bro! Like really?
In the original extended Star Wars canon, part of the original things about the Sith that's brought up in in the video game that they just announced they're redoing in the Knights of the Old Republic. In the prequel to that one, which was like the Old Republic video game, I can't even remember, was that when it came to the original Sith, they used to have whole Sith civilizations, like a whole planet of Sith and a whole Sith academy. But the thing about the dark side is that it corrupts fully. You know what I mean? So you're not going to share or be empathetic to somebody else that's clearly affluent in the dark side. You have to kill them to show them that you're superior. And that ended up being the thing, which is why in the current canon, which is like the canon of the movies, but like the Disney canon solidified it, is that there can only be 2 Sith at a time. There's a master and an apprentice.
Right.
One to master it, one to learn, right? Because any more than that, you're just gonna fucking killing each other. Which is why in the prequels, you have
Grievous die, and then what is the other one? The old dude with the
Count
beard?
Dooku.
Count Dooku dies.
Count Dooku, Grievous, all those were fake Sith Lords. You know what I mean? Because the original one, the one that Palpatine always wanted was Anakin, which is what the whole movie is about, is making the second Sith Lord. Mm-hmm. And you get that same feeling here because you're getting it like the opposite though. You have so many Sith, so many dark side users that like the people in the room, the two people that are part of the light side that are affluent to the light side, that can feel the light side of the Force, like are able to like share that energy between each other because it's not being divided amongst 9 people. Mm-hmm. So you watch the droid that was monitoring these 9 people ended up having Margrave Juro in it the whole time. So he pops out and he's just like, hey motherfuckers, I heard y'all 9 are Sith. I was spying on you this whole time. Let's fight. Uh-huh. So it's this like 13-year-old girl who doesn't even have a solidified lightsaber. It's clear because she's not even like clearly attuned to the Force.
So great animation on the clear saber though.
Oh, it's so dope because it has like this like green outline to it,
hollow, no color to it. It's just so weird the lack of color that is, but it's present.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know that like the lack of color meant that they animated it more.
Yeah.
Like so you're watching it and you're just like, holy fuck, because right away like she just like knocks out like 3 of them. And you're just like, whoa, you're not even a real Jedi. How the fuck is this happening? And then like her lightsaber solidifies at one point and it's green because she's affluent with using the Force. She's not a defender. She's attuned to the Force itself, which you see in the, if you ever watch Star Wars Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, thank you. Both of her lightsabers are green because she's more attuned to the Force. And when I mean that in terms of combat, what that means is she can use the Force to flip more, to do higher jumps, to do more acrobatic moves. Because, like, in no way to be sexist, like, men are just genetically stronger. You know what I mean? I'm bigger than my girlfriend. I'm just naturally stronger than her. Like, that's just how nature has it, right? But if you're a woman attuned more to the Force as opposed to being a defender, you can use that to your advantage.
Correct.
It's like why Yoda had a green lightsaber in the prequels. He's jumping and spinning and jumping off of buildings.
And he's tiny.
He's tiny. You know what I mean? But he's a Jedi Master because he's more with the Force, so he can use that to his advantage. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's happening here because it's just like, dude, it's like a tiny 13-year-old girl against 9 giant Sith. What the fuck is going to happen? But she's just bouncing and jumping off of shit and you're just like, never fucking mind. Like that's so, it's so canon that it's upset. It reminds me why everyone was upset that Disney changed the canon. Because it's like, why wouldn't your affinity change your lightsaber? That helps so much more.
And I didn't know about this until you told me today that that's the way that they went. Because to my understanding, it was always that.
It was, but it did change.
You know? So when I'm watching this, and I was watching it, I'm sorry, that was weird phrasing, but like, as I'm watching this, when your sleeper Jedi is attuning to his Force, and you see in live, you see the lightsaber changing colors. It feels so much stronger because a crystal is just a crystal. You can have a fucking kyber crystal and it's not going to do nothing until you are what you're meant to be. You know what I'm saying? It feels better than getting a crystal assigned to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It feels stronger. It feels more motivational, inner motivation.
But like they also had to change the canon because like if when you turn on a lightsaber, if you're not attuned to the Force, it won't have color. That changes all the Star Wars movies where like random people turned on the lightsaber. That changes Episode 7 where what's his name? The guy that defected from being a stormtrooper. Finn. When Finn turns on Anakin's lightsaber and it's blue, in the old canon that shouldn't happen then.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like, I get it, but I don't get it, but
Yeah, and we also see in the originals when Han Solo cut into the Tauntaun,
right.
to cut, to save Luke.
Right.
You know, like, it shouldn't have any color because Han Solo was not attuned to the Force.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
exactly. It's it's that same kind of thing. Which is like the Ninth Jedi, the ending sequence is just that the count comes out of the robot. Out of the 9 people that they originally thought were Sith, one was originally a Jedi. He had a blue lightsaber as soon as he turned it on. Another one was corrupted by the 7 other Sith Lords, so he turned light again. So now you have these 4 Jedi, and they go out into the universe and try to protect other Jedi. That's like the resolution of this episode, which is like, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's a fine episode. It's just, it didn't blow me away or anything.
I mean, IG production.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
It is beautifully fucking animated.
Right. For a lot of these, I'm like, I'm gonna wait till I see the lightsaber fight to like reserve like how I feel, but it's like, holy fucks. But everybody showed up.
Our protagonist, like, you know, our lady protagonist with her hair always in motion. The like you said, when they're gliding away in the ice landfill, like the ice looks so crisp.
It reminds me of a Studio Shaft production, and I'm thinking specifically of the Monogatari series because like the way the backgrounds like don't move and it almost looks layered, like looks so Studio Shaft. But like once you're like, oh, it's production IG, like they've been around since 1987. They can literally make and produce anything they want ever. Yeah. That you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. Whatever. All you had to say was production IG. That's fine.
And yeah, it's the animation. It wasn't lacking anything.
No, absolutely
not. You know? Which brings us to our top 3 episodes of this amazing 9-episode series of Star Wars Visions.
Right.
The Duel. Something that you did not like.
I do not like the animation style, and like I grab it. It's one of like my own personal gripes. I hate 3D animation because it feels so much cheaper to me. I hate that it reminded me so much of like Netflix Berserk and like really cheap 3D animation, but with just like this ugly like sepia Instagram filter over it. That I was like, It feels so much to me that it's like cheap animation, but they threw a filter over it just to make it look expensive.
If I would like to disagree with you, because as you're watching this episode, you have those things that you mentioned, but then in those cheap what word am I thinking of? On those cheap things that you are pointing out, those little cheap movements of like raindrops of people's clothes moving while they're walking.
It has like this very like oil painting kind of aesthetic to it. Like it really feels like old. I took an art appreciation class. All right, as an undergrad, I got a B because I forgot to take all of the quizzes. But there was a chapter about like Japanese classic artistry, and it has that wave painting you've seen a million times, and like how there's just like this oil painting aesthetic that a lot of like old Japanese arts have, and that they kind of threw that in here, and it reminds me of like the GameCube game Beautiful Joe.
Oh, dude, that was crazy.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. So it has the same kind of
with a grayscale on top.
Right. It has that same kind of comic bookish / oil painting-ish / colored pencil kind of After Effect outline to everything. But the thing about the Duel is that it's all black and white. Like it's all this sepia tone, like desert. Like it's like the meme that's just like, how does Hollywood project every foreign country with brown people? It's just like this ugly brown filter over everything.
Like Breaking Bad?
Like Breaking Bad, like anything that's ever featured the Middle East
when
or
they're
Mexico.
In Mexico, yeah.
Right, or Mexico or anything like that.
But to point out, to bring it into light, this is the first episode of the season.
Right.
Which gives me the argument to set the tone. Because not only is everything in grayscale and those little cheap details that you think, I believe those cheap details is what makes it good. But we see red lights, red LEDs, red, blue, green.
Yeah,
LEDs.
Once the lightsabers turn on, I'm like, oh fuck, never mind.
and we're watching this as we were talking about, but look, like we see some of like
the blasters,
but like in the buildings alone, because it's like a Japanese steampunky.
It's so 13 Samurai. It's so like
Correct. And like
It's such a Japanese Western kind of feel.
And those little colors, I believe that it sets the tone to what we're gonna see from now on. You know, because like you said, in Toby, in the Toby episode, we see the blue everywhere.
Right.
In the Akakari, we see red all the time because at the end the Sith win. You know what I'm saying? So I believe it sets the tone to what is going to happen.
Which, like I was saying earlier, like it's both something that I love about Star Wars, how like easy the imagery metaphors are, because it's like, dude, it's the blue and green light side against the red dark side. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, which I'm glad that they brought this up here, because I wasn't sold on this episode until the final lightsaber fight. It's literally about like so most of the episodes that we've described so far are about Jedi hunters. This one's the opposite. This one's about a Sith hunter. So it's a Ronin, like a samurai without a master, just in this village that's being torn apart by the Empire.
Hiding away, almost.
Right. Yeah. Like, you almost don't expect him to get involved. He doesn't want to be involved until he sees a Sith Lord part of this invasion. And she's, like, super crazy and has, like, a spear with 8 fucking, like, red lightsabers attached to it.
An umbrella, almost.
Right. It looks so wild once you see it in animation. I'm just like, oh, my God.
And, dude, when she takes off her cowl or her jihad,
her
hood, whatever it is.
Right.
Her hair, it's fucking astonishing. It's like, it reminds me of a Sis and Duo episode in Animatrix.
Right.
Like, her hair is just anime. It's just 90s anime. And like you're saying, he is a Sith hunter hiding out, not looking for any altercation, not wanting to get involved in anything, because why the fuck would you?
Like, he declines to be identified as a Jedi, but throughout the whole episode, you see he's attuned with the Force. Like, he walks around blaster shots.
With a droid, just like fucking Anakin.
Right, and he's able to, like, deflect her dark saber fucking attacks. So he's clearly attuned with the light side of the Force, but it's like,
he wields red sabers, though.
Well, that's because he stole them from Sith, which is the old canon again. So it's like, if you steal somebody's red saber, it's gonna stay red because they found it as a red saber. They created this artificial kyber crystal as a red saber.
Just like Grievous had like multiple color fucking sabers.
But he only had blues and greens because he stole them from Jedi.
Oh, that's right.
And it's so, like, I was not sold on this episode, which is why we have it at third. Just because, like, it's somewhere around the middle of the list for me, but for Aldo, it's around like 2 or 1. Which, like, the more I talk about it with people, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what I mean? I'm talking with nerds all week. Every time I bring up Star Wars Visions, everyone's like, "Oh, did you see episode 1? Did you see the twins?" They always bring up the duel first, and it's just like, I feel like the outlier here. Maybe something's wrong with me, because everyone else feels so strongly about like the duel being so good, which it's great. Don't get me wrong. I love all the canon involved. I love the fighting. It's just the animation style just didn't do it for me.
Here in this episode, being the first episode, we talked about this, how he unsheaths his lightsaber.
Right.
Which in this episode, it's prominent. Like, they literally wanted the audience to see this guy unsheath his fucking lightsaber, which looks fucking amazing.
Right.
And the motivation, it's good.
It reminds me of Samurai Champloo so much.
I was gonna say Samurai Jack.
Oh, were you?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like Samurai Jack, because this, and I'm not talking Samurai Jack like old school Samurai Jack, but like the revisited version with Adult Swim, where they finish actually the story plot.
I've never seen it.
No, it's really good. Where he's older now, and he actually beats Shimu or Shumu or whatever the fucking name is.
I didn't watch any of it.
It's really good, but he's saving a town in his own motivation. He doesn't really want to save the town. He saves them by you know, like, his plan was not to save the town. His plan was to fucking just kill the Sith Lord.
Right.
And it's
like he's not a real Jedi. They tell you that from the beginning. It's just like, dude, he doesn't care about the people. He was just wronged by the Sith at one point, and he's trying to enact revenge. That's it.
And the tactics here are really good, are really, samurai, and that's what we've been talking about the entire time. And I feel that's why this was the first episode, because they wanted to tell you that this is gonna be Japanese culture, This is gonna be a samurai doing his own thing, and the tactics of him fighting. You know, he hides under a waterfall. He tricks the Sith Lord into...
He has no sense of, like, pride like we saw from Jedi in the prequels. You know what I mean? Like, he's an assassin. You know what I mean? He doesn't give a shit about pride. He doesn't care about, like... And I want to talk about briefly about this studio. I can't find any production, like, credits for this studio. It's called Kamikaze Doga Company Limited. They have slight production credits at the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure intros for parts 1 through 4. And that's about it.
They have a Batman Ninja. I don't know if you're familiar. That was
please tell me about it.
I mean, I can't really tell you anything about it, but it was an anime-style Batman story.
Is it a movie?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just like 13 Samurai-style old Japanese villages, but Batman. Yeah.
Okay, dope.
And they do have that. They have Mega Man X Command Mission.
But see, these are all co-productions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They don't have any... which is so wild that, like, Disney's really, like, pulling in the trenches for, like, studios to pick from for a whole episode.
And it's so funny that you mentioned Beautiful Joe, bro. You unlocked the memory in my head that I hadn't had for a while, dog. But...
I'm surprised, like, so Nintendo just announced that they're going to be doing, like, the extended online pass or whatever, so you get N64 games, right? And the internet's fucking pissed because it's $60 for a year and you get every N64 game ever. I'm surprised Beautiful Joe hasn't been included with that, or, like, they haven't already started talking about GameCube games.
If I'm not mistaken, it's Capcom, right? Capcom? Production?
What was it though?
Yeah, I believe so.
But it was a GameCube exclusive though.
I don't know because I had it for the PS2.
Oh, then it definitely was. Yeah. Never mind. I just always remember it for the GameCube, and I don't know why. And it's so going back to this episode. The duel is fine. It's a great episode. The fighting sequence is amazing. One of the best. And like literally the last 3 episodes we have here are just about like a protagonist against a Sith Lord. Just a duel. Like they're all duels from here on out. And this one's so good. It's so like when Obi-Wan defeats General Grievous kind of feels to it.
And to your point that the story tells you that this guy is not a Jedi. He's not honorable. He's not doing anything. But at the turning point of this episode at the end, when he kills the Sith Lord and destroys its lightsaber because he's collecting
the Kyber crystals.
Yep. He gives that Kyber crystal to the daughter of the chief of this
village that he just accidentally saved.
To almost, it's weird that he destroyed the saber to get the crystal because at that point he didn't know what he was gonna do. But when he realized that this village needed protection, he gave up that crystal to the village.
Right. So it's like even though he uses like dark lightsabers, he clearly has like an affinity to the light side of the Force.
Correct.
Because he has like gesture. That sense of empathy that like only a Jedi would have almost. Which is like it's so ironic that he's using like red lightsabers. And that takes us to like probably the most like
talked
about and clip quoted episode in this whole thing is the twins, which is episode like 2 in terms of like how you view it on episode 3. Yeah, it's episode 3 in the episodic sequence, but it's the first Studio Trigger production that we see, and the duel feels so Studio Trigger. It's so gorgeous. It's so
the duel or the twins.
The twins, excuse me. The twins. It's so stylized. It's so Gurren Lagann. It's so Kill la Kill. It's so like everything you love about Studio Trigger encompassed inside of like a Star Wars plotline. It's amazing. Like I cannot believe it took us 40 years to get something like this.
40 years to see a dual Star Destroyer fucking spaceship, bro. When I'm watching,
so good.
As a first-time watcher and as a Star Wars fan, when I'm watching this, you don't know what to expect from these episodes. But the episode begins with B-20N, a droid that resembles C-3PO, talking to what is the girl, the girl of this twins, you know?
Right. It's a girl dressed up as Darth Vader.
Yes, very anime-like
Right.
Darth Vader. But
the animation style is so Studio Trigger. And what I mean by that is like it's super straight-lined, bright colors. It's very Kill la Kill. It's very SSSS Gridman. It's very like this. It's not cheap feeling, but it's not a hyper-realized type of animation.
But yeah, and as a Star Wars fan, the preconditions that you have, and you read the title, The Twins, you immediately think Leia and Luke. You know what I'm saying? And now we're in this dual Star Destroyer, which looks fucking great.
Right.
It's almost like, why didn't Emperor Palpatine think about this before? You know? And we follow the story of twins that were cloned from a Jedi DNA and they were raised to be fucking assholes.
Right. They were raised in a tank, but they were infused with the dark side, so they're supposed to be they're hyper force affluent, but it's that Emperor Palpatine kind of thing where it's like if Emperor Palpatine's master was a Sith Lord that whole idea was to create life from the Force, right? Which in later books after episodes 1, 2, and 3, the idea is that Emperor Palpatine is the one that created Luke from the Force, but he was originally attuned to the light side, but originally Emperor Palpatine was able to convert him to the dark side. Because in episode 1, he's treated as fucking Jesus Christ. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, the mom even tells him just like, I didn't have sex. He just came out of nowhere. It was a random birth. It just kind of happened. And he is Anakin Skywalker was a being created entirely from the Force. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how the twins are treated here. They're tank-bred individuals meant to be attuned to the dark side. And right away, we're following a Darth Vader-esque character who approaches her twin at the hangar, and the twin's like, hurry, C-3PO robot. Like, no, it looks like R2-D2. It was a fucking, it was an asteroid robot, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's telling him just like, no, go to the ship, take the case, take the case. Uh-huh. Which is a Kyber crystal, which was powering this whole ship, this dual Star Destroyer, this ginormous fucking ship. And that's part of it fits so much in the duality discussion of Star Wars. It's just like one twin is so dedicated to the dark side. The other one is so attuned to the light side that he was able to foresee his twin's death in the future, which is the whole reason why he's going against the Empire here, because he's trying to save his twin. Who's so blind in the dark side that she can't even see that her life's in danger.
Yeah, because like it's like the other side of the coin. Instead of the Jedi flipping to the Sith, it's this Sith trying to do it with his best intention and the best motivation. He's trying to save his sister from death, which is part of being in tune to the light side.
Right.
And the way that they unfolded the story of like this evil twins being evil as fuck and commanding this dual Star Destroyer, you're like, holy shit, what is the plot going to? But then we start seeing our male protagonist, our male twin, sneaking around, which is the biggest Kyber crystal known.
It's ginormous. It's like as big as like my forearm.
Exactly.
It's fucking huge.
No, that's just not gonna fit into your lightsaber. You know what I'm saying?
Which like part of the story they also bring up is that because they're part of the dark side, they were created suits, like robot suits that are attuned to the dark side, and that's where they're also getting their energy from.
Kyber crystal harnessing suits.
Right, which is some new fucking... It's so Studio Trigger. It's so, like, batshit crazy sci-fi that, like, I love it so fucking much. Because, like, the middle of the episode is literally them having a force battle on top of the dual Star Destroyer. Which is, like, they forget physics exists. They forget about pressure in the universe and how it's gonna make your fucking eyeballs pop out of your head. The vacuum of space. They forget people need to breathe in space. But it's so anime. It's so Studio Trigger.
And it's so fast, you don't think about it.
You just go with it. You're just like, holy shit, fucking force fight in space. This is the wildest shit I've ever seen in my life.
And as our female twin is losing her shit,
right?
Our male twin is like, yo, relax, bro. Like, he's almost like like evading and almost playing defense. He's like, yo, it's like, relax. I'm trying to tell you that you're gonna fucking die. Can you please not continue with this plan?
On TikTok or Twitter, have you ever seen the clips of like Canelo boxing? Mm-hmm. The recent ones? Yeah. He's just so like head wobbly and bobby. Like everyone, I feel like when
he like was that old school Muhammad Ali on the corner, and he's just
it's a rope-a-dope, just like dodge. Like I feel like when Canelo was first introduced, when he was fighting Mayweather, it was just those fights like at the end of Mayweather's career where he was just like picking up wins at the end just to solidify himself as like the best boxer ever. But like modern Canelo, it's just like, dude, nobody can touch the guy. Like, especially in that weight class, like you literally cannot lay a punch on the guy. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly how the twins feels. It's so wild to see because the evil twin, the girl here, is so force sensitive that when the brother tries blasting off in his ship into space, she just force holds him.
A whole ass ship going into like what is it, hyperdrive or what is it?
I don't think it hit hyperdrive. It's not until it breaks one of the.
No, but he's trying to escape,
right?
But with hyperdrive, but even
she's just holding him there.
As he's trying to escape, like, she's holding an entire fucking ship with her fucking Sith powers, with the Force. And it just fucking looks crazy because this guy's just trying to hide the crystal, destroy the crystal. He's trying to save his sister.
Would you compare the Duel and the twins in terms of animation? Like, the Duel wants to feel like an old school comic book, 13th Samurai, 1960s, 1970s movie. The twins is just
2021 shit.
Right, it's so 2021 batshit crazy stylized anime production that it's just like, holy fuck. Like so part of the dark side of the Force is you can control lightning force, right? Mm-hmm. Like Emperor Palpatine did it all the time. But part of the light side is you can just like deflect it or just hold it in the air, right? Or like it's like holding a piece of blast energy in the air, like we saw in The Village Bride, right? Mm. And we get that standoff on the surface of the ship where the evil sister's just like, force lightning, and he's just like, psych, bitch, I'm just gonna hold it right here in the fucking air, and you see all these rocks and rubble just floating in the background.
And lightning and blue lightning and red lightning.
Oh, it's so fire! Like, it's so good. Like, it's upsetting how good it looks.
But then at one point, you realize that it's our male twin showing her demise.
Right.
Like, at one point, it's like, look, this is not going to turn...
Look, I had a Force dream. You're going to die. Please just let me save you.
And she's like, just showed you this.
You're full of shit, pussy. You were always the pussy twin. I'm going to fucking blast you in the face.
And then she's like, fuck you, and turns into General Grievous.
Well, she gets the crystal. So this whole time...
They fight, right?
They're having a force fight over the crystal.
And they're trying to pull it both ways, which stresses the crystal and breaks it into many pieces, especially in two big pieces.
Right. So the evil twin, the girl, takes her piece, puts it into her armor, and she grows like extra arms, and like, of course they're red because it's the old canon for kyber crystals. So like her lightsabers are red, so she now has like 4 fucking arms and 4 fucking lightsabers just busting out of her armor. But like the boy, he just gets the one kyber crystal. It reminds me so much of the canon for Obi-Wan Kenobi, where he had like such an affinity to the light side that he could do so much with one lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to like the fighting styles of like lightsabers and the Force, they number them. You know what I mean? Like Anakin Skywalker was attuned to fighting style 4, which is very sporadic, and he could jump around, and he was very aggressive with it. Obi-Wan was most attuned with the second style. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever watched
like water.
Yeah. It's like fucking water style. It's like Tai Chi, like a smooth motion kind of thing with it, which like. I don't get how people never understood that so much of Star Wars is taken from like not just Japanese but like Eastern culture in general. Like so much of lightsaber fighting is taken from kung fu styles, you know what I mean? Karate styles, because style 2 is a defensive style with minimal motion that lets you defend yourself like completely. And you see that you can look on YouTube right now. There's a clip in Star Wars Rebels that has Obi-Wan Kenobi versus what's his name? The red guy from episode 1? Darth Maul. Thank you. Versus Darth Maul. And it's after Darth Maul got his robot legs, he came back from life. He now has a red lightsaber. He's trying to reestablish himself as a Sith Lord. But again, it's after Order 66. It's after the 2 Sith Lords have been established, being Palpatine and Darth Vader. And he's fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi on a remote planet. And again, this is like the 3rd time he's ever fought Obi-Wan Kenobi, because we saw episode 1 where he got cut in half by Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon dies.
Yeah, Qui-Gon dies, all that shit. But the thing about the Rebels episode is it's so, like, you expect it to be this ginormous anime fight, but because of Obi-Wan's fighting style, when the fighting starts, he has like his lightsaber over his head, like he's gonna do a dramatic like big jumping motion, but then he just like hones it down to the middle like a parrying stance, like a, what's the Olympic sport with sword fighting? Like fencing. It looks like a fencing stance, right? And you hear the inner dialogue as an audience from Darth Maul being like, holy shit, like his defense is complete, like right now. Him just having the lightsaber in front of his face means I can't attack him from any direction. And that whole fighting sequence is 13 seconds long, because it's just Darth Maul just like screaming at the top of his anime lungs, lunging at him, and Obi-Wan just like one slice, just down the middle, done, dead. Right. And that's exactly how this fight feels. It feels so much just like, yo, you have this ginormous dark side affluent power. I have one lightsaber in my hand, but I have this ginormous kyber crystal inside of this lightsaber. I'm just gonna one swing, just kill you, and I'm done. That's it.
And her fighting style is so sporadic. The swings of all of these multiple lightsabers looks like whips.
Right.
You know, she's so sporadic with it that it just looks like whips. And I don't know if they are whips or not, but it just looks like she's getting...
And that's one of those, like, Star Wars Visions, like, made up its own canon. Like, we've never seen that before.
Yeah, but it looks fucking ridiculous.
And part of the thing is that he lets his sister live. Like, it's a very anime ending, because it's like, dude, he just sliced her in half. Like, is she dead? And then you see the dialogue from him at the end talking to his droids, being like, oh, I'm glad I let her live. Maybe she'll, like, learn more about the Force, and I'll find her later in life.
And, like, this whole, like, FLCL fucking... I have the biggest lightsaber kind of thing happens, where he just... with this kyber crystal in him, beams up the biggest fucking lightsaber known to man and slices the fucking Star Destroyer, but without killing his sister.
Which makes no sense.
Which makes absolutely no sense.
But it's supposed to not make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want it to make sense.
Yeah, I guarantee, like, Studio Trigger was like, anybody that tries to make sense out of this is a fucking nerd. I don't give a fuck.
It was great. If you guys are anime fans, I'm sure you guys are, because you're listening to this. But this is where you see Trigger at his Trigger.
It's very pro
Star Wars best.
Right. It's very pro-mare. It's very Kill la Kill. It's great because it's so funny that like our top 2 episodes here are The Twins and The Elder. The Elder also being the second episode produced by Studio Trigger, which is more stylized, and like the tone is way, way, way different. It's so much more toned down. Again, like it fits with that like Star Wars theme of it being a Western, and it's about like an apprentice and a master trying to find like this evil dormant source that they slightly detected on this like void planet. And this episode is not the most stylized, it's not the best animated, it's not the best directed, but it's so like fits the theme of Star Wars so much that like if you don't like if you don't like this episode, you don't like Star Wars.
Because this is the first episode that we see a master and his Padawan with him.
Right.
You know? Like we see this old school he reminds me of the dad from the science anime that we watch.
His name is Rick from Rick and
Dr.
Morty.
Stone.
Yeah.
Dr. Stone. He reminds me of the dad of Dr. Stone.
Right.
You know, like the animation style of him, like it just reminds me of the Dr. Stone's father. And it's this master character that it's like, hang on, like we're not here to start a fight.
It's like at the beginning of episode 3 of Star Wars where Anakin goes on this crazy ass killing spree. He defeats like the droids and the opposing force, and Obi-Wan's like, whoa, the destruction wasn't part of it. Like, we saved the Empire, we saved the light side. Whoa, chill out. It reminds me a lot of that.
No, it is, and it is a lot of that because as the way that we were talking about this 9 episodes, we've seen Sith hunters, we've seen Jedi hunters, but in this episode it feels so much to home,
right?
Almost to Star Wars, because it is what Obi-Wan wanted to tell Anakin.
Right.
Hang out, chill the fuck out. We're here to investigate, and that's it. It's recon. We're trying to find this person, and the theme and the tone of this episode, it's the master telling his Padawan that it's not about conflict, it's not about confrontation, you know?
Yeah.
And it's rewarding to see that because of what happened to Obi-Wan. And if anything, Obi-Wan has like the most tragic story of all. He saw his Padawan turn to the dark side. He saw
his master dying to save a Force-sensitive child who betrayed him. Right. So, like, that's why Obi-Wan in the main trilogy tries so hard to help Luke only in episode 4, because it's like, I fucked up so bad.
And that's why he went into exile.
Yeah. He felt so guilty about it. He was just like, dude, like, I fucked up. I literally created a Sith Lord by training him in the ways of the Force. Like, I fucked up. Everyone told me not to train him. He had an affinity for the dark side, which is why he was not made a Jedi Master. He was too old to be taught the ways of the Jedi.
He had revenge. He had greed. He had everything in his heart.
But he was so attuned to the Force that like he felt like he had to teach him. And that's how the Elder feels, because it's not to that extent. Like, it's just about like Qui-Gon Jinn, imagine, but like just a regular Padawan. Mm-hmm. They go to a planet because the Master recognizes a Force signal, and he's just like, land there. They find somebody, like this old decrepit man, super anime, super Japanese feeling, that he's almost like an apparition. He's so old.
It's almost like if Master Roshi was bad.
Yeah. And there's an episode in Clone Wars before the Emperor becomes the Emperor, where Darth Sidious is defeating Darth Maul and his brother in lightsaber combat, where he's doing like the Yoda thing but the opposite. So he just busts out 2 red lightsabers. He's like flipping and spinning and destroying everybody and fighting like that. And you get that same kind of feeling right here, because it's like this, they find a Sith Lord or a dying Sith Lord, but he's not a Sith Lord, but he is a Sith Lord, because he describes the canon that I was describing earlier, where he's just like, yeah, I'm Sith, but I'm not Sith, because the Sith created an organization of people and an academy where everyone started killing each other, and they just all
got so wrapped up in their motivations that they destroyed each other.
Right. So he's just like, I'm doing my own thing, but I'm very much in the dark side. Mm-hmm. So the Padawan's the one that meets him, and he's just like, holy fuck, like I'm about to get murdered. Like,
and by the way, we haven't even brought up this topic, but the different kinds of sabers here, because he has 2 short sabers,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And the first time we saw this as Star Wars fans, it was with fucking Darth Maul when he brought the dual lightsaber, and we're like, whoa,
Yeah.
where the fuck are you going? But here in this 9th episodes, you see like almost like knives style lightsabers. You see,
they're only like 3 feet tall of saber.
and what is the fucking like the Raphael fucking weapons with like the 3. It's almost like a trident, but it has like the middle one, and that was in the
So you're not talking the they're I know what you're talking about. They have like 3 separate little points, and he like wraps his fist around them.
Correct. We see like Kyber crystal weapons, Kyber crystal powered weapons like that.
They're called Sai.
Size, yeah.
SAI.
And it's awesome. It's awesome to see this, because we did talk about it in the duel when this Sith Lord has like this umbrella looking spinning fucking thing, but it's almost like an attachment to the lightsaber.
Right.
And I don't know, it just looks amazing, because this old decrepit bastard, it's dueling these 2 swords at an incredible fucking speed rate, attack rate, and he's shedding on the Padawan. He's just like,
dude, you can't touch me. He literally told the Padawan, I'm going to kill you.
Just so your master can show up.
Yeah, because I feel somebody else who's stronger in the Force, and I want them to show up.
And it's not you.
Oh, it's so crazy. Because you expect the Padawan to be dead. Because the Padawan dies, the master's like down the hill, down the mountain, whatever, feels his Padawan's Force energy just dissipate. He's just like, holy fuck. I have to go figure out who the fuck just killed my Padawan. He runs up there, and again, it's the fucking Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul kind of fight that I was describing at the end of Star Wars Rebels, where the Sith Lord here is going to do some crazy acrobatic moves, but the Master here is just going to hold his sword in front of his face, hold his lightsaber in front of his face, and just like quickly just dissipate him.
Yeah, and in this battle, as the Jedi Master is countering his attack of one of the swords that he's willing, the Sith Lord is willing, a little bit before that, the old decrepit bastard gets a little bit he gets scared, and he starts using his lightning powers.
Yeah,
and the Jedi Master, he's like, no, fuck no.
Force bounce, whatever the fuck he did.
Force bounces, force counters that shit, attacks him, holds one of the Sith Lord's saber with his counter defensive strike, and he's holding it, but obviously he has another hand free. As the decrepit bastard is trying to attack him with his other hand, we fucking get like this fucking badass shot of the Padawan turning on his lightsaber and force throwing the lightsaber to counterattack the old guy's attack, and he hits the lightsaber away from the Sith old guy, away from his hand, and then we get this beautiful animated motion of the Jedi Master putting his lightsaber, his turned off lightsaber, to this old guy's chest and turning it on, and it just looks so good.
It's so dope.
It's so good. Dope. And we're like, oh fuck yeah.
Which, like, it's so funny that like the same different. I almost said the same nerds, but different nerd communities on Twitter are so upset about Disney for different reasons. So we have the old school Star Wars nerds that hate that Star Wars Visions exist. But then Star Wars Visions was so popular that like 3 days ago, Disney announced that they're going to start like producing anime original for Disney Plus with anime studios attached to them, right? So it's like we're getting so different conflicting angles, but apparently the numbers are there that Disney's like, okay, cool, we're going to start paying Production IG, Kinema Citrus, and all these great anime studios to start producing entire anime based around like gacha games or like
Disney characters
and stuff like that. Like, that's so crazy. That's almost like producing an anime around Apex Legends or some shit. But like produced by Disney, like the money backings behind Disney, that's so crazy. And I hate that nerds are upset about this because it's like, dude, you don't understand. The biggest media conglomerate in the Western Hemisphere just said that they're going to be earmarking money for something that we all love. We love anime, right? We love production quality. We love all this stuff. Disney is so hypercritical about the numbers. They can mass produce something that's like so supreme quality. Like that's so, I don't know what people are bitching about anymore.
And honestly, I mean, to your point, I mean, I love that these studios and these animators and these people working so hard to make a quality piece are not going to go bankrupt just because they made a quality piece. You know what I'm saying? Because they have the Disney budget. But before this episode does not end there. This episode, to me, was the best one because, to me, the best part of Star Wars, it's philosophy,
right?
To what a Jedi is, to what the person, to what makes you a good person. And at the end of this episode, the Padawan is like, "Oh, Master, you're so fucking badass. You fucking killed this fucking guy and blah blah." And the Master's like, "No, it's like the only reason we beat this old man was because of time.
Yeah,
this old man was."
If he was 60 years younger, there's no way I would have beat him.
Exactly.
Like, he was decrepit. They show him as almost like a 200-year-old fucking guy.
Exactly, and I believe the dialogue is like along the lines of, I'm strong, but one day I'm going to get weaker.
Yeah.
And right now, you're going to get stronger. At some point, you're going to get stronger. And it's just that philosophy that Obi-Wan wanted to push, that Qui-Gon pushed into Obi-Wan.
I hate that again. It again reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho. Because again, like the current part of Yu Yu Hakusho I'm watching is Master Genkai telling Yusuke Urameshi, like, hey, I'm old as fuck. But, like, I used to be the fucking shit. Like, nobody could touch me. I was literally untouchable. I was the greatest force user. I was the greatest spiritual force user in all of humanity ever. But time controls all, and, like, now I'm old and decrepit as fuck, and, like, it's up for you to take up this mantle.
Everybody's a slave to time.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And to me, that's why I ranked it the best. Because not only the animation and the fighting was amazing, but the philosophy at the end, he's like, no, dog, it's like, I didn't beat him because I'm good. I beat him because he was in the wrong side of time. Yeah. At this point. And
I think he literally says, like, if I'd met him when he was younger, like, I'd be dead right now. There's no way.
And it's like to see the Padawan dread on the apprentice, to see the master telling him like, no, stupid, is like, I'm not great, I'm not the best, I'm trying to teach you to be strong and to keep these morals with you. And it's just fucking just beautiful.
And that, honestly, I literally do not understand why people do not like Star Wars Visions. Mm-hmm. Which, like, it seems like the majority of people do. Don't get me wrong. But it just, with a lot of things right now, it just feels like the negative voices sometimes get so much more attention sometimes. Because if all perspectives need to be seen as 50-50, if only 10% are showing the opposite perspective, why are we even talking about the other 10%? Who gives a fuck? Mm-hmm. But Star Wars Visions is excellent. Everything Studio Trigger does is an instant classic. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Shout out to some of these small trenched fucking studios for bringing up Tatooine Rhapsody, you know, Studio Colorado, you know.
Yeah. Production IG shows up as always. Kinema Citrus, like, is not the biggest studio, but they've shown more than enough that they're capable. Like, just look at any episode of Made in Abyss. Mm-hmm. And anybody listening right now that hasn't seen Star Wars Visions should 1,000% just see Star Wars Visions. Even if you're mildly a fan of Star Wars, there's no reason you shouldn't watch it.
It's fucking great. And to that, guys, thank you very much for joining us on episode 65.
I think you said episode 65.
Really? Okay. Thank you for joining us for this episode. I think we should go into Nerd Down.
Nerd Down.
Nerd Down.
Nerd get down.
Hey guys, welcome to the Nerd Down, where the nerds get down. At the beginning of this portion of the podcast episode, I do want to remind everybody to use hashtag Tits for Nerds. That is TITSFORNERDS in an original tweet or Instagram post to be entered into our October giveaway. And I do want to remind everybody that if you like or retweet original tweets or Instagram posts that use hashtag Tits for Nerds, we will be donating to the Rio Grande Cancer Association. So, you know what I mean? Get at it. It's a good organization. They're doing good work. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Help us out.
It costs you nothing to like it.
It costs you nothing. It costs you literally nothing. And to that point, at the beginning of this Nerd Down, I do want to talk about What If, Marvel's What If, the Disney Plus original series that took me forever to finish, but like
and to like. And to appreciate.
Yeah. It wasn't until the second to last episode that it all came down to earth for me, and I was like, oh.
And it's funny because you appreciated the shit out of Star Wars Visions.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, this shit's so good, but it doesn't matter. And you kept telling me that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, yeah, I know it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But it's good to see. And throughout my entire conversation trying to like convey it to you, you're like, but I don't care about it. I don't care about it. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, I don't care if fucking doesn't matter.
For some context, we have been talking about What If during the Nerd Down.
Passively. Because
Passively, excuse me. But like, I got left behind because none of these episodes are canon. Because the idea is they're in pocket universes. So they all have nuanced differences about Black Panther's different origin, about Star-Lord's different origin, about Peggy Carter's different origin.
The demise of the Iron Man, demise of Doctor Strange.
Right. And it originally tries to market itself that they're all pocket universes and they're not part of the canon. But then once you get to the second last episode, it's just like, psych, motherfucker, it's all canon, and they're all tied together. So then me, as an audience member who has, like, not been watching it for 3 weeks because I didn't think it mattered, I'm just like, fuck. I felt stupid.
Trying to get connected with these episodes?
Right. I felt stupid for not appreciating it as much as I did initially. Because the entire episode about Doctor Strange in an alternate universe trying to change the course of reality to save his dead girlfriend to the point that he's starting to absorb different demon monsters becomes so prevalent and like such a big like plot issue. Yeah. That I'm just like, oh, why didn't I fucking pick up on that? Because like, don't get me wrong. On YouTube, I'm subscribed to New Rockstars, right? And every episode he was trying to be like, see, you can try to tie apart a storyline between this episode, that episode, and that episode, and this is how they all can be tied together.
And you thought that we're just trying to fish for this.
Yeah, I was like, stop fishing for views, shut the fuck up. Like, none of that shit's gonna matter. But then by the time I get to the last two episodes, I'm like, oh, it really did all matter. It really was all connected.
It is a very, I mean, we are talking about, what, 9 episodes? 8 episodes here?
Right.
For What If? And
It's 8.
It's 8, right?
Yeah.
And, the first 4, I get your point. You know what I'm saying? And somebody that is, like you like anime.
Yeah.
You like anime so much. You like How I Met Your Mother so much.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like, I don't want to like this because this is much better over here on this side.
It's so easy for me to get like caught into things that I'm already comfortable with.
And that's like that's like in the spectrum kind of thing. but like, What If, and like I've told you before, I mean, DC was the first ones to bring in this multiverse kind of thinking and kind of storytelling of the stories that they couldn't put in canon, but stories that the audience wanted to see.
Right.
You know? And here in this episodes, I mean, from the beginning, one of my favorite ones was the Doctor Strange one. It's what if
Doctor Strange went absolutely batshit crazy and tried to absorb like evil entities into himself?
And it just, and the demise in that episode, just like, oh fuck, I destroyed my entire universe, and I, with my ultimate power, I caught myself in this marble. I caught myself in this small Christmas ornament of my power because I couldn't save anything.
Right.
I tried so hard, I got fixated, and it's almost like an Anakin fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And episodes like the Hulk episode when the Hulk dies and Ant-Man, old Ant-Man goes batshit crazy because he's angry at Nick Fury and he kills the entire Avengers.
Yeah.
And shit like that. At the point that it connects because of our protagonist, the Watcher.
Right.
The Watcher is
Which, like, the Watcher's been a narrator in every episode, but it's not until episode 7 out of these 8 episodes that you're like, holy shit, like, he really was the protagonist this whole time.
And it's so amazing that the Watcher, it's a oligarchy or it's something that as an audience, you are the Watcher.
Right, right. It's a parallel between the audience and a character within the show. Because, and like, something I loved about the writing here was that, like, if I'm the cynical critic that I am, I'm going to pick apart, like, okay, so this guy's watching multiple universes fall apart.
Just like we are.
And he didn't do anything about it. That's fucking wild. But then, like, you hear characters approach him, and they're like, hey, Mr. Watcher, entire universes, trillions on trillions of people have died because you decided not to act. And he's just like, dude, like, I tried, I thought about it, I really pondered it. And these are real questions that I would bring up, like in a writing room. You know what I mean? They really well sourced the writing in these last couple episodes. Because the ending plot is like, so we have all these crazy, elaborate what-if stories in alternate universes where small nuances are different between the Marvel characters. But the ending plot is that in a universe where the Avengers didn't exist because they all died or didn't exist, Ultron from Avengers 2 was able to complete his ending mission and
download his consciousness into Vision's body.
Right, download his consciousness into the what's that metal called? The
adamantium.
Yeah, in the adamantium body of Vision that's controlled and operated by the Mind Stone. He was able to accomplish his mission to taking over that body, found a universe where the Avengers had all of the Infinity Stones, took those Infinity Stones into himself, and had this multi-universe level power that he could just destroy anything at any time because his ending goal was that life...
To delete human error.
Right, yeah. Life and human error has a sense of, like, randomness about it that you can't control it, and it creates, like, death in and of itself.
And it gives computers anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he becomes so powerful, just like Doctor Strange becoming so evilly powerful that they're able to perceive the Watcher's presence. Mm-hmm. You know? And at this point, the Watcher is just the Watcher. It's just a viewing audience.
Yeah.
You know? And we see this fucking mentally ill fucking robot.
Yeah.
Looking up the sky, like, who the fuck are you? You know? Like, talking to the Watcher is like...
Because a theme we start getting during certain episodes is that once a character gets so powerful, like, once Doctor Strange starts getting this galaxy-level part of demon power, once... fucking Vision gets this sense of, like, universal power, he can see the Watcher, and he's just like, hey, motherfucker, why are you watching me? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's like, it's this creepy, if you've seen the Netflix series You, which the season 3 just came out like 2 days ago.
Show.
Really good show.
Yeah.
Me and Karen have been watching season 3. But it's like that. It's just like, if the guy in You was watching an entire universe being killed, it's just like, dude, why didn't you do anything about it? You watched the whole thing happen.
Mm-hmm. And it's very, like, morally conflicted with the Watcher, because the Watcher, I mean, he made an oath to
just watch.
Which is like an oath you make as an audience.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you watch because you like it, and you watch because these things are going on. And don't get me wrong, I loved Made in the Abyss, but I hated Made in the Abyss.
Yeah.
You know? And if I could have gone in there and do something about this fucking oyster kids, I would have done something about it, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it just brings up this whole theme of this type of writing with this Watcher character that at one point he reveals himself to smaller beings or this outcast team of Avengers.
Right.
And
what are they called? The Multiversal Avengers?
Some shit like that, dude. I mean, we get
Peggy Carter as Captain Britain or whatever the fuck her name was,
because the Nazis were able to sabotage the whole Captain America situation. We have Party Thor, which he never got his brother, which he never got that life experience that he needed to be a better person.
Right.
We have Doctor Strange.
But like corrupted by demons.
Yeah, and spinning into madness. We have who else do we have?
The Prince of Wakanda, who became Star-Lord because he was abducted, and
then
we get Killmonger.
Yeah, Killmonger.
We get Killmonger as the actual Black Panther because this is a universe where
he got his payback,
right? And his cousin wasn't there to stop him. And it's crazy. So you get like the multi-universal Avengers who, through the powers of Doctor Strange, gives them like defense buffs. And they're actually able to fight on par with universe-destroying Ultron here. And it's just so wild to see. Because like that was one of the issues people had with Avengers Infinity War was that like Doctor Strange is just too powerful. There's this writing thing about Doctor Strange that it's like anytime you include him in a story, he's kind of too strong. You know what I mean?
And yes, he is. In the Marvel universe, when it comes to like the X gene, we have Omega level mutants, which but
he's
Spider-Man,
almost beyond the Omega level. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he's universal being,
Yeah.
And just like Spider-Man, the only reason he's not he's not punching motherfuckers' heads off with one punch is because he's a good person.
Yeah.
Phoenix or Jean Grey, you know what I'm saying? Like Dark Phoenix and shit like that. Like it's absolutely super powerful people. But the thing when we get a media that is trying to tell you a story within different movies as a part of a cinematic universe, when it comes to comics, they tell you when they fail. They tell you when they are in a tight spot. They tell you all these different stories. But here, watching What If in the context of the MCU, it is very
like you could feel like they could fail.
The anxiety. Yeah. You feel that there's a risk here.
Yeah, like with like the main MCU storyline, it's like they have to win, right?
Yeah.
Like you assume by the end of the Eternals that it's like that there's a pathway for the main new set of Avengers to win, right? You get that sense. But what's fucked up about What If, it's so uncharted territory that it's like anything could happen and it's automatically canon in the MCU universe. Like you don't even know.
And where these two episodes like collide is like the Watcher announces himself to this outcast members of this multiversal Avenger team, and they're like, "Fuck you, bro! Like you didn't do nothing to stop this." But then we have other characters like, "Who the fuck are you? And why am I here?" And then you have some characters that are like, "Oh shit, I can redeem myself just like Doctor Strange."
Yeah,
and when Ultron Vision or Vision Ultron or Ultra Vision or whatever you want to call him, gets the 6 Infinity Stones. I mean, this guy is Galactus level, Silver Surfer level cosmic being of bashing in through different fucking dimensions. And it's funny because in one of the episodes where he's blasting the fucking Watcher through different universes, we see Vader's in where he gets fucked up by Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
What's the planet called? The lava volcano planet.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name right now.
We see it in one of the fucking universes.
Holy fuck, I wasn't even paying
attention.
attention.
Yeah, and it's just so like, holy fuck, you're serving me so much stuff at once, and the Watcher is losing to Ultravision, but then we have this weird misfits fucking Avengers fighting
Because what we think is going to happen is Gamora from a universe where she's still allied with Thanos, but she's trying to overthrow him. Like a universe where she never met Star-Lord, but she's still trying to overthrow Thanos from the inside. Mm-hmm. She has a device that is able to destroy Infinity Stones. Mm-hmm. But what we find out is that it's only able to destroy Infinity Stones from her own universe. So, like, for the longest time, it's just like, just grab the Mind Stone, just grab the Mind Stone, grab the Mind Stone. And then it'll be able to read all the Infinity Stones and it'll destroy them. But the minute they get the Mind Stone, Infinity Stone, it's just like, this only works for stones from my own universe. Which is such a cop-out narratively. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't feel like it. Because it's like, we have 10 more minutes of screen time. Just show me some more dope shit, which is exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. And the ending to What If is just like this giant clusterfuck of just like shield throwing, of universe expanding, like, hey, you're the Natasha Romanoff from my universe, but you don't know me because you're from a universe where Ultron killed everybody and there's like 3 human people left on Earth. And it's so wild. It's such a crazy scene to see.
And like you were saying, like, you don't expect the Watcher to be the protagonist of the story.
Yeah.
But at the end, when they win the fight against Ultra Vision or whatever you want to call him, he's sending off the members of this Misfit Avengers team to their respective universes.
Yeah.
And Natasha is like, no, fuck you, bro. I'm not going back because I'm the last living person on that fucking planet. It's like, I don't know you a thing. You decided not to do a thing. You decided to do nothing for so long. Why does it matter to you? And here is where, just like the episode of The Elder, that philosophy comes into place, and it hits home just because the Watcher becomes you.
Yeah.
Because the Watcher, the dialogue is like, you don't understand. It's like, this stories, the pain that you felt, I felt that pain.
Yeah.
I love those stories. Your stories, all these multiversal stories are my home.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this anime style fucking kind of writing. There's like, oh God, why didn't I see this before?
Yeah.
Kind of things. And for me, it was a great fucking show.
Dope.
I mean, Loki, what else did we get? WandaVision,
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it just comes into this great closing of audience feelings, not only character feelings, but for you, they're giving you fan service.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and is very well rewarded.
No, I agree.
And it brings me to James Bond. I know you haven't watched it.
What about James Bond? What do you mean?
The last Bond movie.
Okay, what about it?
It comes into a great closure. I know you haven't seen it.
But, so don't get me wrong. I've been trying to see it. I've been busy. There's like 5 movies in theaters right now I want to see. I want to see Dune. I want to see James Bond. I want to see Lamb. I want to see The Last Duel, or whatever the fuck it's called. The Ridley Scott middle-aged one.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
It has what's his name? The guy that plays the Darth Vader clone in the sequels. It has Matt Damon, again directed by Ridley Scott. I think it's called The Last Duel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have not seen any of the most recent James Bond. I love James Bond, don't get me wrong, but it feels like the past 2 movies have been marketed as what's his name? The most recent Bond.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah, as Daniel Craig's last movie, right? Because when the first one came out, it was just like, dude, he broke his arm while trying to...
Dude, he's broken everything.
That's what I'm saying. And I keep hearing that, like, in every pre-production that it's just like, dude, he's hurt again. This is the last episode. He said that he's tired of being hurt, and this is his last acting scene for real. But it seems like finally, this is the last one for Daniel Craig James Bond.
I mean, his pay, his salary for each movie, I mean, has increased just because of the same reason, you know?
Yeah.
You can't be fucking hurt. If I was hurting myself making every episode of Between Earths, I would demand a higher pay, you know?
Someday we'll pay you a penny an hour.
Cool, thank you. Appreciate that. That gives me morale. But, it is a great send off. It feels. You told me it was 3 hours long movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't even like when I watched it. I didn't even know it was 3 hours.
It's listed everywhere as 2 hours and 50 minutes. Yeah.
Dog, it is a great movie.
I'm excited to see it. I think I'm going to go see it tomorrow. Either that or Lamb, the A24 production movie, which like I love A24 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dune comes out next week. And Halloween just came out this weekend too.
Mm-hmm. I watched that movie. It's okay. It's good. It's okay.
Is it?
It was a little disappointing, but
it's because like I feel like we can't hold horror movies to that same stature. Like
because A24 is bringing it.
Right. There's so few like studios or movies or productions that actually lead into like a really good like production quality horror film. And a lot of the A24 films wouldn't even be historically considered horror. They're just very different, if anything. And something that brings me to is this past week I finished the most recent season of Attack on Titan. Which, like, Attack on Titan, again, is, like, it's not a horror anime, but horror fans love it because it's giant, like, gruesome gore scenes. But the most recent season, it's so much more than that. It's turned into just, like, this, like, Watcher level, like, multi-dimensional, different community, world destruction kind of thing.
It feels like a war movie to me.
Yeah.
You know?
It feels like what's it called, Natasha the Evil, or
yeah.
Was it Natasha?
Yeah, Natasha. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it feels like that. It's just like, what if this all-powerful character had an understanding of what World War II warfare was like, which is what Attack on Titan has turned into.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Dunkirk. It reminds me of 1907. What was it, 1907 or 1807?
1807.
17. No, was it? I can't remember the title of the movie, but it was great. It feels like Black Hawk Down, like Saving Private Ryan. It just feels fucking crazy Nazi imperialistic shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I think it's funny that we're jumping from Star Wars Visions to this next episode. We're going to be talking about Redline, which is a film produced by Studio Madhouse. The Studio Madhouse, which has produced like every great fucking anime ever. Ninja Scroll, Vampire Hunter D, Perfect Blue, Trigun, Black Lagoon, Death Note, Parasite the Maximum, like everything. Because you and Roby are at separate weddings, I'm assuming.
Hopefully.
Next weekend. Because we originally wanted to do our episode on season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho next week. But you're at a wedding, Roby's at a wedding. Roby was on our episode for season 1 of Yu Yu Hakusho. He's at his fucking brother's wedding, so like, good for you, dude. Like, don't even worry about our fucking bum-ass podcast.
Yeah.
Like, go to your fucking brother's wedding. But I think me and you are going to be watching Redline sometime this week, talking about it either Wednesday or Thursday. And not only that, but right before we started recording 3 hours ago, we watched the most recent trailer for The Batman, which I'm super excited about.
Honestly, just from the trailer, and sometimes studios want to like jump the gun on trailers, and sometimes like the CGI is not super refined. It's not super, but this feels like the trailer alone just feels like I'm in for something that I'm gonna get my money's worth.
Yeah.
And it's not telling you much of the story. You mentioned, it was like, oh, there's Joker goons here. I'm tired of fucking seeing the Joker, you know?
Yeah.
But as when the Joker came out with Joaquin Phoenix,
yeah,
you know, it's like a taxi driver. It's taxi driver, you know, in Batman costume.
I get Joker it. Yeah, costume. Yeah, absolutely.
Like this movie, in which is a very good step for Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers seems like it's just being directed by a board of uncreative fucking bigwigs, and they're just trying to copy the shit that Marvel is fucking doing. But like here, a standalone movie with Batman almost being driven by the movie Seven, with Brad Pitt. You know, what's in the box, kind of shit. You know, it feels really good. It feels normal. It feels natural.
Yeah.
And the trailer alone, it's amazing.
There's 2 or 3 scenes where the Batman's just deflecting bullets off of his chest plate, which is just like in and of itself, like you compare that to the what was the last director's name?
Snyder?
No, not Snyder, for the Batman trilogy, for
Nolan.
For Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
Like part of like The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises was just, it's supposed to be a human, down-to-earth Batman, so things like bullet shots would hurt him. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he has armor. Yes, it's meant to, like, slow down the effects of bullet shots. But even in this 2-minute trailer, we see 2 or 3 scenes of just the Batman walking down a hallway, just tanking bullets to the chest. And it feels so wild. Like, a lot of the things we describe, even when it's Star Wars Visions, even when it's all this other shit, the things that we like the most are the things that, like, transport you to another world. They transfer you to a pocket dimension, a pocket universe, where the rules of this thing are all that matter. And it encompasses you in it, and it makes you feel so much more fulfilled as a viewing audience because it feels flushed out, right? And that's what we liked about Made in Abyss. It's just like, it's this whole world around this one pit in this one island, and we're flushing out this whole effect system around it, which when things happen, you being rewarded as the viewing audience. It's just like, I understood that because I remembered that from the beginning. This makes sense in context of everything that I've been shown. The Batman trailer right here is showing you this pocket dimension, this dark noir reality Batman universe where the Batman is actively working against hyper-powered critical villains in this, like, not even noir, but just like this post-apocalyptic almost scenario where he has to drag Gotham City by the fucking balls to see, like, the light side of the fucking force. You know what I mean?
And I love that you bring that up. I love that you caught that. I love that you understand that, because I know you kind of dismiss American writing. I know you kind of dismiss American comics. I know you dismiss that because you're like, I've seen it all the fucking time.
I feel like it's because I've grown up with it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. But Batman, I mean, I have, 7 different pieces here in the podcast room of Batman. You know, I love Batman from what it is. And when I touch on the topic of Batman, not only is Batman the character, but one of the things that I loved about the Joker is that they brought one of the main characters of the Batman universe, which is Gotham City.
Yeah.
The dirtiness, the crooked cops, the people, people not being empathetic, people being selfish, you know, and it brings out that character of the city.
Right.
Here in this trailer, what we saw, it's a young Batman who does not know ballistic defense.
Yeah.
So he has to armor himself with better armor, which it's a deterrent to his agility.
Yeah.
Because he does not know how to evade ballistics. He hasn't had the chance to train his ballistic training more, you know?
Yeah.
And to see a Batman that gets hit with bullets, it's a weaker Batman.
Right.
You know? Because
which I agree.
Which a stronger Batman will be able to either smoke.
He would have just snuck up on you and just like snapped your neck, bro.
Exactly. And I love that you brought that up, because that's one of the Batman on its own. It has, when we talk about characters, we talk about personalized, humanized characters in the story, but Gotham City alone is a character.
Yep.
Gordon's trench coat on its own, it's a character. Batman's inability to understand that he's doing wrong because he's not killing the Joker is a character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great. I'm expecting a lot from it. So Zoe Kravitz, holy fuck.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Holy
like
shit, dude.
It's like she reminds me of almost like Zendaya level, like like,
This was Zendaya wants to be for
yeah,
Spider-Man.
you know what I mean? Like, if Zendaya's on the cover of Vogue, then Zoe Kravitz
It's in two
as
covers of Vogue.
Catwoman, you know what I mean? Is just like, it's so wild to see. And the thing about the Batman, comparing it to like the city of Gotham, it reminds me of the Flash show. How in the Flash show, it was always about him trying to juggle like maintaining this regular metropolis life, but he's also the fucking Flash, and he can basically almost be at two places at once because he's the fucking Flash. You know what I mean? And it's a 2-minute trailer. We know nothing about the movie. Don't get me wrong, but it shows clips of the Penguin. It's implied that the Riddler is going to be the main villain here. It has the Joker's goons, and the thing about this Batman, and comparing it to the Christopher Nolan trilogy, the Christopher Nolan trilogy tried to tell you so hard that it's like, no, this is a 40-year-old Batman. He not only trained for 10 years, but he came back into being a billionaire, and he told his company, no, make me high-powered armor, make me high-powered weapons so that I don't get hurt and I can protect everybody. Mm-hmm. This Batman's fucking reckless. He is just walking through a maelstrom.
Raw dogging.
I had to ask you while watching the trailer, why would the villains not just shoot his chin? Because it's a fucking Batman costume, so they have to show you that he has a strong jaw because alpha male energy. I don't fucking know.
It's funny because there was this argument on TikTok that Batman has to show his chin just to let the police know he's white. And
basically,
and it's funny because there's a storyline where the son of Lucius Fox, which is the guy that makes all his fucking military weaponry for Wayne Corps,
right?
His son takes on the cowl, but he lives in a police state, and he covers his chin with a cowl.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fucking crazy. I love Batman. I wish you would look more into Batman. Batman is fucking amazing.
I love Batman lore. I feel like don't get me wrong. I've never really read that much source material, but I have this weird habit where like I watch like lore videos or background videos. I do that for The Hobbit. I do that for A Song of Ice and Fire, and I've done that for Batman before and DC Comics and like Superman's extended lore. Don't get me wrong, but I haven't really been that dedicated to Batman source material. So I guess you're right.
It's good. It's good. But with that brings us to the end of episode 65 of Between Nerds. Thank you very much, nerds, for listening. We hope you have a nerdy day, a nerdy night, a nerdy evening, a nerdy life. Thank you.
This has been Between
Nerds.